Welcome, everyone. Today is Monday, August 17th, 2026, and this is a regular meeting of the City of Asbury Park Planning Board. Chairwoman Kurzak, can you please call this meeting to order?
Yes, this meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Star-Ledger, the Coaster, and Asbury Park Press by publication of the annual meeting notice and posted on the Municipal Bulletin Board and municipal website. All notices are on file with the Board Secretary. Official action may be taken on the following matters before the Board. This meeting is being recorded by APTV. Please join me in the salute of the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll make a roll call. James Bonanno.
Here.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Here.
Jim Henry.
Here.
Mayor Moore.
Here.
Jen Souter is absent. Daniel Shinameo.
Here.
Bob Zuckerman.
Here.
Kathy McLaughlin.
Here.
Vice Chair Goonan.
Here.
And Chairwoman Barbara Kurzak.
here. I will be, just for everybody's information, I will not be leading the meeting today. I'm recusing myself. And you'll be in the good hands of Mr. Goonan.
Excellent. So our first application up today is for the views at Wesley Lake.
Jim, I can tell you that I reviewed the notices, they're in proper form, and we have jurisdiction to proceed in this matter.
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman, is the applicant still requesting my recusal from this hearing?
For the record, my name is Jennifer Phillips Smith. I'm an attorney with FPT Gibbons on behalf of the applicant, APW Redeveloper LLC. And yes, sir, consistent with our letter of April 17th, 2026, we are requesting your recusal.
Okay. So I will recuse myself, and for those who were not here, the master developer has threatened to sue this planning board if I did not voluntarily recuse myself from hearing their applications or any of their sub-developers because of comments I made as a public citizen, a private citizen, not as a planning board member regarding their developments. So they don't like what I have to say, and they threatened to sue to recuse myself. So I am voluntarily doing that to spare this board drama. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. That being said, Ms. Smith, please begin.
Thank you. Well, thank you, board members. We are here this evening, as I said, on behalf of APW Redeveloper LLC, which is the designated sub-developer for Block 3802, Lot 1 within the waterfront redevelopment area. We are here this evening seeking preliminary and final major site plan approval and design exceptions for the proposed 27-unit multifamily condominium building. This application process has gone on for a number of years. So I'll take us back to 2022 when the master developer submitted an application proposing 21 townhomes at this location. After being heard by the TRC, I believe in October of 2022 or September of 2022, we ended up going back to the drawing board due to some flood hazard considerations and other considerations. Ultimately, we then made an application. This particular applicant made an application on October 28th of 2024 to the TRC. Now, at the time, the applicant was proposing this layout of the building, however, shifted on the site. It was a modern aesthetic in a blue, gray, and white color scheme. After about 19 months of comments, both from the TRC and the council, the applicant ultimately presented to the City Council, and the City Council approved a subsequent development agreement in May 27th of this year, where the building had been significantly redesigned into a Mediterranean aesthetic. As you'll hear tonight from our architect, the applicant was able to draw on the Mediterranean aesthetic that was present in former and also current buildings here in Asbury Park. As your board attorney noted, we did provide public notice consistent with the municipal land use law. We provided that affidavit ahead of time. And this evening we do have 4 witnesses for you. We're going to start with our architecture. We'll then move on to civil engineering. Then we'll go on to landscaping and finally end with our professional planner. So with that, unless there's any procedural questions, we would like to begin with our architect.
Sir, please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record and spell it.
Certainly. Conrad Roncati, Roncati. I'm the principal of Architectura, located at 1 Bridge Plaza, Fort Lee, New Jersey.
1 second. I'm going to also swear in my staff in case there's any discussions. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your names for the record and your affiliation with the board.
Donna Miller, board planner.
Sam Bavakian, board engineer. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Mr. Roncati, for the record, we need to qualify you as an expert in the field of architecture. So can you just very briefly summarize your background, licensure, and experience?
Certainly. I've been practicing for over 40 years. I've appeared at close to 2,000 board meetings in New Jersey alone, licensed architect in New Jersey as well as 17 other states.
Thank you. And I now offer Mr. Roncati as an expert in the field of architecture.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, if you could please start by just giving us an overview of the location of the proposed project.
Sure. So as was mentioned in the introduction, we're here presenting a multi-family condominium building that views at Wesley Lake. It will contain 27 condominium residences in a 4-story building. The building contains 3 residential floors, over 1 level of parking, and that parking level is elevated 5 feet in response to floodwaters, as council mentioned, that can then be allowed to flow underneath the building.
And if you pause for just one moment, what we have up on the screen for now are the submitted plans, is that correct?
Yes.
So what we will do is when we have a few plan sheets we have updated in response to comments received from your board professionals. When we get to those, I will mark those as exhibits.
This is part of the record already?
This is what was submitted to the board as part of the application package. And we're currently working off of, I believe, sheet 2 of the architecture set.
I'm going to touch.
Just to confirm, these are the plans you submitted dated July 10th? Yes.
We'll zoom
Yes,
in.
July 10th.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll touch just generally on some site-related matters, but only for the board's general edification. As council mentioned, the site engineer is here and can certainly speak with much more specificity. But the property is approximately 34,200 square feet, which is 0.785 acres. It is bounded on 4 sides by streets, so it's an entire city block. On the north by Cookman Avenue, on the west side by St. James Place, on the south by Lake Avenue, and on the east by Wesley Lake Drive. It's currently developed, the site as shown in the exhibit, with a surface parking and a building that was formerly used by Tandem Cycle, Cookman Avenue and St. James. Frontages are currently improved with sidewalks, benches, lighting, and street trees. Lake Avenue and Wesley Lake Drive have no existing street front improvements. And of course, our project does propose to make improvements to those 2 streets also. The building is similar to our client's previous Aegean building design, which is located at 2nd Avenue and Berg Street, and also the design of the building, the views at North Shore, which is under construction at 8th Avenue and Deal Lake Drive. So in form and substance, the building is similar to projects that that have already been before this board and of course approved and implemented. The site is unique, having 4 street frontages. The building's main entrance, as well as the garage entrance, is from Cookman Avenue. We are proposing a 1-story storage building and resident courtyard, which is connected to the principal building that is located along St. James Place, as you can see, sporadically showing on the screen. A secondary pedestrian access to the principal building faces Lake Avenue and is enclosed with a fence around a usable yard for residents. There's also a dog walk area in this enclosed area. What could be described as the sides of the building are located and facing Wesley Lake Drive and St. James Place. The building also has additional exterior recreation at a roof deck, which occupies the northeast corner of the building. It's also shown in this exhibit. Sorry for the technical issue with your system. As I mentioned, due to flood issues, the parking deck is elevated 5 feet. So that parking deck is not at grade, but 5 feet above the surrounding grade, so that we could have dry storage of cars, but also allow floodwaters to translate under the building. The building contains 27 units. There are 2 one-bedroom units, 10 two-bedroom units, 15 three-bedroom units. And again, those are located in 3 residential floors above the single-level elevated parking garage. Dwelling units, similar to the other projects that we've built, range from 709 square feet in a one-bedroom to 1,364 square feet in a 3-bedroom unit. And each balcony has its own exterior space, a small balcony attached to each of the units. So we have at-grade space for the resident outside. We have the rooftop, common, and then each unit has a balcony. The parking garage contains 42 parking spaces. The requirement is by ordinance 1.5 spaces per unit, or 41. So we have 1 excess parking space. We are compliant. There are 12 tandem parking spaces, which will be assigned to 12 of the 15 three-bedroom units. So they won't be shared, they'll be allocated to the 3-bedroom units. There are also 9 EV stations, and those drawings have been, those locations have been identified in these updated drawings, which we show on the screen. The building height is compliant with code. The maximum height of the building in stories is defined by the development plan, allowing 4 stories on Cookman Avenue with a requirement to step down to 3 stories on St. James Place, 3 stories on Lake Avenue. The proposed building is 4 stories along Cookman Avenue and then steps down to 1 story on St. James Place and Lake Avenue. So the proposed building as designed complies with the maximum permitted height. As I mentioned, there is a rooftop amenity as we look at these elevations on the screen in the northeast corner. That amenity will be screened from the street level, and it's set inside from the exterior walls of the building. So the actual roof deck is not built out to the edge of the footplate or floor plate. It's set in so that any activity is fully screened from public view, not only due to its location inbound on the roof, but also screened because of the parapet walls that surround the exterior of the roof. The drawings that we submitted are shown here on the screen. We submitted 28 sheets, but we will be supplementing those tonight with some additional submissions as exhibits. We'll mark those as we get to them. We created some additional renderings and some minor design changes to the building after hearing from the TRC and then the mayor and council. As council mentioned, we've made a dramatic shift in response to comments that we have away from a more modern aesthetic and in the blue, white, and gray color ranges. After meeting with the TRC, we made substantial changes to the exterior design in the Mediterranean Revival style. We had several meetings, actually, 2 meetings with the TRC. Sorry? Thank you.
And this, I think, will be our first exhibit that was not part of the submitted package. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I'll mark this one as A1. This is the architecture precedence. Can you just describe what this exhibit is and how it relates to the design aesthetic of the proposed building?
So we, in response to the comments that we received about adopting and being inspired by a Mediterranean style and a Mediterranean Revival style, we looked at buildings that either existed or formerly existed. Many of these are behind you on the wall in historic photos. But we went back to look at buildings that are not only present today in Asbury Park, but were at one time and are gone. But we went and looked closely at that detail, that Mediterranean Revival style, arched windows, tile details, terracotta roofs, and then we incorporated that into the exterior of our building. So we created a slide because we wanted you to have those visual context.
Excuse me, roughly where is this located?
So the building in the upper left-hand corner is on 2nd Avenue. The building obviously in the middle and to the upper right is across the street from where we are now. The building middle row left is a building, I'm not sure where it was, but it's been demolished. Second also. Yeah, it's gone, the one on the left. The one in the middle, north end of town. Also in the north end, the one on the right. And then the Boardwalk Monterey Hotel at the bottom left, the Monterey Hotel, second slide in from the left. Again, the Hotel Monterey, that's also behind you on the wall. And then the Hotel Lincoln, which at one time existed. So again, looking to those structures for some precedent and inspiration. Yeah. I have 2 scripts for tonight. Council's is 4 hours of presentation. Mine's only a half hour, so I'm going to stick with mine. No, I'm kidding. We did receive the 2 review letters, one from your consulting engineer and the other from the planner. I'd like to first review the letter from the consulting engineer. There were comments that were made that we were in need of responding to, and there were also clarifications that that letter asked for. There was a comment and question about a loading area.
Excuse me, let's identify that that's.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The Avakian report from August 10th.
The Avakian report we have from July,
August, the date on.
I'm sorry,
10th.
August 10th, 2026.
2026. Okay, got it. Thanks.
It was, I had an earlier date.
That's fine. I just want to make sure we're on the same script.
Yep.
Okay.
The first comment was about tandem parking spaces. I've already addressed that. The question of whether we had provided a loading area inside the parking garage. As the architect, we drew the parking garage There is not a loading area inside. Our civil engineer will address how we intend on providing some loading and unloading activities around the building. As I mentioned, 42 parking spaces, 12 of which are proposed as compact spaces. Your waterfront redevelopment plan has a mandate of no more than 35% of the parking spaces can be for compact cars, and we're at 28.6. So we comply with that ratio or that percentage. The parking garage provides a minimum of 24-foot drive aisles, allowing for proper movement of vehicles. I think that that dimension wasn't clearly laid out on our original drawing submission, so I'm making that clear. As discussed, HVAC equipment will be located on the roof, and it will be set back from the roof edge. The engineer's report asked about that material that is, those equipment rather, that's on the roof, where it's located and how it's screened. Chris is showing a rendering of the building, and that shows that you won't see that rooftop equipment. And we also created a new exhibit. What is it?
So we'll mark this one as A2, and we will call this one
What's the title?
Sections. And maybe
It's called Sections. It's a view shed analysis. So what we did was we created a building section and then put a person on the street, across the street from the project. So not obviously up against the building looking vertically, but from across the street. And you can see from that line of sight, which is that diagonal line from the person at the street looking up, the location of the HVAC equipment is not seen. There's a screen in front of it anyway, a louvered screen, which is detailed on our plan at 5 feet. But even from across the street, you would not see the HVAC equipment or the screening around the HVAC equipment.
On the rooftop plan, can you show us where the screens are going to be placed?
So is this a sheet already submitted? Yes, sir.
yes.
So this is part of our original 28-page submission. So you have this in front of you. Page 25 of that exhibit. And it shows the rooftop plan. It shows the location of the screening. And it shows the location of the HVAC equipment. And then there's actually an architectural detail as well as a photo of a similar installation.
Okay, so just walk us through. So I see this green line on the upper left, but then I see more mechanicals kind of further to the right. So what screens?
So
Everything else?
Good question. We provided the screening where we didn't have a higher tile roof. So when we have just the parapet wall and it's in the line of sight, we provided the additional screening. But where we have the taller wall that has the clay tile roof extending up much farther, it's really superfluous. So we didn't provide additional screening at those vantage points. So Chris is showing one of the renderings. Those clay tile roofs pop up much higher than the flat deck of the roof, and it naturally provides screening to the equipment.
Chris, can we go back to the plan? Okay, so I think in that southeast quadrant there, do you have screening around that group of equipment? Nope, other side. East, yep.
We have screening where it comes a little bit closer to the roof edge. That's set back another 10 to 15 feet, and we didn't think it was necessary at that point.
So again,
If the board felt
the
that we
plan
needed it.
requires not just from the street level, but from adjoining buildings.
Right.
And so there's a building plan for the other side of Wesley Lake Drive.
That's such a small area, we could certainly provide additional, we could provide additional screening.
I mean, running into some of my other comments, I had recommended that you extend those tile roofs on that frontage as well.
So we
That
actually,
might help not having to do that screening.
so we do have some changes to the aesthetic that Mr. Roncati is going to go over as he progresses a little bit.
Okay.
And then we can circle back if you think we left anything
Where is
open.
that facade?
How
We're
high-
gonna pull up that facade that you're referencing.
Well,
Excuse
don't go up.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
How high is the top of those units above the roof?
They should be less than 48 inches from the top of the roof.
Okay. With all the new construction that has taken place up along the
Yes, sir.
boardwalk in Kingsley and Ocean, when I look south from my residence, I see those units. I see them very plainly. And I understand that when you stand on the other side of the sidewalk, you have you can't see them at all. But I would like to see the screening extend to at least the top of the unit that it's trying to screen.
So-
if the top of that unit is 48 inches above the roof, then I'd like to see the screening.
It's a very good point. We believe the average height will be 36 inches, no more than 48. Our screening is at 5 feet. So we have 60-inch height on our screening, 36-inch height on the equipment, possibly to 48. But as you're suggesting, we are already complying with that. Our screen is higher than our HVAC.
On the other, I'm only saying on the other units that are under construction right now.
Right.
That's not the case.
It's not the case. Can we go to that elevation? So because it's a related issue, let's talk about that elevation. So coming out of the TRC and the mayor and council meeting, we are now adding.
And this is in response to the design professionals' letters, correct?
Yeah.
In response to the planning board professionals' letters.
Correct. We've added additional terracotta tile in the center of the plan. I want to follow up on your comment because I think you were alluding to creating a tile roof for that entire length, not just infilling over those balconies a moment ago.
Not necessarily the entire length. I actually expected the pergola over the balcony section, because that would be like on the other facades.
Right.
And then just, extending along the, like just flanking the tower section.
So from the tower on the left at the top of the parapet wall, a tile roof to the center section, change to a pergola, and then pick up the tile roof detail again. Okay.
And again, that would give you a little
bit more height.
height, that visually connecting it, but also, you don't necessarily want to look at the screen, you want to look at architecture. So I think that helps the view from whatever future building is going to be across the street.
So just so we're clear
This
for the
was-
record, which elevation? We're looking at the west elevation?
Correct.
That's the Wesley Lake Drive elevation.
Right. So this is your back to the ocean looking west
Correct.
at the building, right? Not the west side elevation, but
Right.
western looking elevation.
So Don, so you were
So
saying
this was-
pergola over the balcony,
Right.
and then tile roof over that whole middle section.
The two ends.
I think, Chris, could you show us with the cursor? This was the original drawing before the change, and this is after. And could you just point with your cursor from the tower to the left to the middle, all that length being terracotta roof?
So you'd screen the equipment, and then at the north side, you'd screen the recreation area.
Yeah. Would you be amenable to that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you want to say me and myself, but I personally would like to see that change. Do other people on the board have an opinion?
Yeah, I think the detail would look better in a plan.
So the roof will not be obviously as high as other areas. What we don't want to do is restrict the view off the rooftop deck looking east towards the ocean, right? So it's not going to come up much higher, but it would come up to the parapet height wall height.
And so, again, this is the facade that's facing Wesley Lake Drive, correct?
Yeah, Wesley Lake Drive, right?
Okay, so it's a facade facing Wesley Lake Drive, and should the board approve the application, the applicant would agree to have the terracotta style roof extend on both sides with a pergola in the middle. Do I have that correct, Mr. Roncati?
Yes.
Can you just flip to the east elevation on the bottom of here? Yeah, there you go. So I think it should reflect that same.
The same height,
Yeah.
right, which is essentially
It's
the
like slightly above.
top of the railing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my personal opinion is you have so many really beautiful details in the Mediterranean revival style that the more we can get the whole thing to look, have that same ornamentation and style, I think. Just makes it even-
So while that's a good segue, because we're on this elevation.
Why don't we mark this as a new exhibit as well? So this would be A3. What do we want to call this one?
This is the modified elevations and detail page.
So in response to the design professionals' reports that the board received, what modifications are we now proposing?
So one of the big areas that we wanted to address was the parking garage level, right? So there's not a lot of precedent for Mediterranean-style parking garages, but we did look at a detail that we had incorporated into the storage building, which was a Mediterranean motif, which is Chris, it's bouncing back and forth. You're not seeing it. It's driving everyone crazy. I know, it's not us, I get it. But this detail, which is a kind of a classic Mediterranean detail, it's actually a circle set in a square. It was a detail that we had used in a small scale version on that storage building, just to create a fun Mediterranean influence detail. And when we went back and we were looking at the parking garage, and this is from our submission, we had square-shaped openings in the parking garage and not a lot of horizontal detail. And those square openings also had louvers, so horizontal, kind of commercial-looking, if you will, horizontal louvers. And we thought perhaps we could bring that Mediterranean influence into the garage level, which is also a planning requirement in your ordinance about differentiating the base from the middle of the building. And I think a garage below residential naturally starts to create a separation visually, but we thought if we introduced this detail on a larger scale, and then instead of the louvers, which is a little bit more garage-like, we introduced a Mediterranean pattern screen. So we still get the airflow, we still get a little bit of light through that opening, but it starts to have a detail that's much, much more Mediterranean influenced, and I think it works very, very well as a composition. We also added some horizontal banding details in that level to tie it all together and create less of a blank wall between the ground and the first residential floor. And it ties into the storage building we have in the back. On the sheet also, we've provided more detail about the wall. Again, we had sought to create a Mediterranean style detail, open airy wall, one that provided a little bit of privacy, but didn't totally screen off that area, again, to allow breeze through, provide some transparency and some privacy. Those are terracotta block, two different styles. The bottom two rows are one type, and then the 4 rows above it are different. So again, a very strong Mediterranean influenced detail. There was also a request in, I think, the planner's report about more detail about the gates. So they're wood gates, there's more detail and more dimensions provided here on this sheet. While we're at this, Chris, if you can go to the front entrance.
So we'll mark this one as A4.
Is this new? Yeah, it's new.
Yeah.
So one of the other suggestions in the planner's report was the introduction of a different style railing, which whether it was on this stair, on the ramp, or on the balconies. We had originally proposed a very plain, simple bar type railing. We now have a railing that has more, again, of a Mediterranean influence, a little bit more detailed railing, and one that has a little bit more Mediterranean style. This was the original plan, or original elevation rendering, and there are a couple things here. One, you can see the new detail on the garage in the left-hand side, off to the left of the handicap or wheelchair lift, rather. Also, the wheelchair lift on the right side was glassy and transparent, and we've now enclosed it in a wall, which I think is a big improvement. We've also given ourselves a place to put the name of the project at a slightly elevated height instead of on the right where it was down low and would probably get covered in shrubs.
And
anyway.
that also includes the address, which is a requirement of the plan, correct?
Yes, we also have the post number for the building. And then also, we decided on tonight's iteration and exhibit to provide more solid columns, so it just wasn't metal railing. So you can see on the right, we had no posts. On the left, we now have posts with a terracotta element at the top. And then below, we opened it up again with that terracotta breeze block. So it starts to tie everything together a little bit more than it had before.
Do you have any other views of this stairwell from any other angles that we can see right now? I'm just curious.
That's the one view that we have. We have other views of this stair, but it doesn't include all of the new detailing. This was finalized today. As a matter of fact, we were working with it through today. So here's some other views, but it's not the exact detailing, Mr. Chair. In the engineering report, there was also a list of variances and design waivers, a design exception to permit sliding doors, as well as some fixed windows where hinged doors and double hung or single hung windows are required under the waterfront redevelopment plan. Our plan was not originally clear about all of the operable windows we have. We have a significant number of operable windows, only a few fixed, and those are mostly decorative windows or below the operable. So
So why don't we label this exhibit as
A4,
A5?
A5, sorry.
And what is it called? This is, we'll call this,
Page A,
these are elevations with
elevation
operable
drawing,
windows.
and these are all today's date.
And so on this drawing, you've marked the windows that are intended to be operable with
Right.
that.
So
kind of-
we've used the standard convention of the dotted angles to show the operable swing and hinge of a window. So you can see the vast majority of the windows are casement hinged windows. The only fixed are the little rectangular windows below and the half-round windows where they appear above.
So can I ask, so is there any place on the building where there's either not sliding glass doors with a slider or a set of windows where, like a vertical grouping of windows where at least one of them opens?
Just at the stairwell, which is
Just- okay.
really set back and not a prominent part of the elevation.
Great.
So we have tall rectangular casements.
Yep.
We have fixed windows below, and then we have half rounds.
Now, is it sometimes possible that in the final design, when it goes for building permits, that a window might have to move to be non-operational?
Yes, that is possible, but the vast majority will be operational.
Why would that be? I'm just curious.
I believe, and I'll let Mr. Roncati answer, sometimes you can't have an open window close to certain utility lines and things like that, right?
Sometimes if you have a vent, for example, you have to be a certain clearance distance for a fixed window, operable window. Rather.
And then I just want to address the
We've-
go ahead, sorry.
We've tried to locate, Chris is showing this same exhibit. We've located the vents, those would be the exhaust vents on the elevation, and we've kept them the required distance from operable windows. So we should be perfectly fine as presented.
So those are all operable, just the bottom rectangular
Correct.
parts are not?
Anything with that angle
Yeah.
is an operable window, and it shows you which side it hinges on.
Just for the record, the vents, you'll have them match as best as you can to the side.
To the color, yes.
And then the only other non-operable windows are down in the storage building, is that correct?
Yes, so in the storage building, we have non-operable windows. Very good point was made, I believe, in the planner's report about making the glass there opaque, because it is a storage building, and if we have 12 bikes and a bunch of beach equipment, which is the purpose of the building, we're going to frost those windows or tint them just so that you're not looking into a storage building from the street.
Two questions since we're here. So the stairwell windows obviously will be non-operable. Stairwell lighting, just because it's come up before, can we, sometimes lights in stairwells are just really bright. I know they have to be.
We're going to have them on a sensor,
On a
so
sensor,
they'll only
perfect.
be on when somebody's in the stairwell.
Perfect.
Otherwise, it'll be dark. Our windows are also flush to the exterior, which we've done on other projects. That's also a design waiver under your ordinance. Balconies, again, just quickly running through the engineer's report.
Sorry, before we move on, just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
storage shed. So the purpose of the storage shed is really just storage.
It's storage.
There's no
It's-
HVAC, nothing. It's
There's
just
no heating and
plumbing.
cooling.
Okay.
It's for beach-related storage.
Okay.
Our feeling is you come off the beach, instead of taking your chairs and dragging them up to the building, there'll be this nice utility building.
So it's just storage for the individual units, not storage for the common?
Correct. It's all for resident use. Yeah.
And will there be like cages in there, individual, or do you not?
We haven't quite figured that out yet, but.
Okay, thank you.
Balconies under the ordinance are required to be continuous. We're proposing discontinuous balconies, as you've seen in the elevation. but we think that that is certainly consistent with the Mediterranean revival style and certainly in keeping with the design of the building. Balconies under ordinance shall not exceed 3 feet in depth. We are only protruding from the facade with our balconies 2 feet. So we're 1 foot less than the 3 feet as prescribed in the ordinance. However, our balconies in total are 5 feet in depth, 2 feet outside the facade and 3 feet into the building. So we were trying to make balconies that were more usable. 3-foot balconies, not really a very usable balcony. And instead of putting it all out 5 feet cantilevering, we've only come out 2 feet, 1 foot less than allowed, and provided the other 3 feet into the volume of the building. We think it's very successful and very usable, and is certainly in keeping with the ordinance.
And the railings you're proposing are the same as on the front entry?
The railing type will be the same style throughout the building. So whatever's at that front entry will be on the balcony. Our railings are shown at 39 inches in height. Your ordinance requires 42. We're seeking a design waiver. By code, they only need to be 36 inches because they're within a residential unit. So the code only requires 36 inches in height. If we had a public accessible balcony that anyone in the building could go to, that requirement would be 42 inches. But because you're getting to that balcony from within a residential unit, only 36 is required by code. We're proposing 39 against your 42.
And that doesn't include...
Can I ask you guys, I don't know.
Does that include the height above the deck?
Yeah, so the height from the deck to the top of the rail
Only has to be 30?
it's actually a barrier under the code. If it's a public space, like a rooftop deck, for example, you would need 42 inches. But once you enter a unit and you're within a unit, the code drops to 36. I think it's nicer at the lower height, just visually, but we're requesting 39. If the board insisted on 42, we'd certainly acquiesce to that.
To clarify, so the safety code is 36.
Correct.
The design aesthetic recommendation.
Your design code says 42.
Which is also based on like, a masonry balustrade, not metal rail.
Typically railings are at 36 at residential houses or 42 everywhere else. But their interpretation is that since it's a residential unit, it could be at 36.
Yeah, the code is clear on that.
But typically they use 36 at like your house.
It can, it just gets a little sketchy. If you think about how high 36 is, if you're on a balcony, right?
It's precarious.
Yeah.
It feels precarious.
So we drew 39. If the board wants 42, we're happy to comply. Board's cool.
James, you think
I'm
you prefer when I hear the word precarious, I feel like why not just add the 3 inches?
Sold at 42.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. We also require a exception for garage doors. Width of garage doors, we have a ingress-egress driveway, and we have a 20-foot entry door where 9 feet is the maximum allowed, so we're asking for an exception there. We're using composite materials in exterior doors. We're not providing any stucco finish. There's a comment in the engineer's letter about utility meters. Typically, your ordinance wants them hidden behind the building. Here we have a site that has 4 front-facing sides to streets, but we are screening them and tucking them away on the eastern side of the building.
So Conrad, if I may, so it's less of a shot at this application or yourself in general. It's kind of what we're seeing logistically. So all the time, what we'll see is presentation of plans and of course utilities are utilities. I think more so, I don't want to speak for the board, but from what we've been seeing is a preemptive what if. What if the utility meters aren't in that location? What can we do to screen them properly from the residents and from passerbyers. That's really what, at least I'd like to take out of that.
Okay. Well, we have a landscape architect that's done some great work here. Perhaps we,
I think
We're
we
going to
need
have,
a combination
of
of
wall,
architectural element and the vegetation.
like a screen wall.
Yeah,
coupled-
maybe even the breeze block as a.
Yeah, I think that's a great, I didn't think of that. That's a great idea.
It's the kind of thing that keeps evolving. I mean, JCP&L has officially shut us down on putting meters inside,
Right.
which, but anyway, so, we have to try and make them as, you know,
I think the
visible as
breeze
we
block
can.
wall would be great to extend to the same height as the meters and then some
Well, and
landscape
you're gonna have to
in
be careful
front.
because they're gonna have to be above the flood elevation, so it's kind of a high thing.
True.
Have you considered putting the meters in your storage shed?
Nope,
And use it
JCP&L
as a-
won't let us.
I'm sorry?
JCP&L won't let us. We've been meeting with them at the VFW, and they've completely put their foot down about having meters inside any building.
It's all utility companies in New Jersey
Yeah.
are requiring.
They're saying it's dangerous for their, personnel, they're hard to, they give us every reason, but we've fought them tooth and nail in the VFW, and we have lost. So we have to anticipate they're always gonna be on the outside of the building. We just gotta figure a way to soften the look.
And so what you guys are recommending here is that physical barrier, not just landscaping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they did at Toll.
and so let me just, to clarify, can you just point out on the sheet here where you have the utility meters proposed?
So they're on the west side of the building is gas and the electric is on the east side of the building. So we have two locations.
And we will have our landscape architect talk about the landscaping. It sounds like as a condition, should this board choose to approve, we would agree to try and work with the utility to incorporate breeze block.
So if I may, so it's really just, it makes it easier if we all agree, we being the board, agrees on what to do in the event that that does move. So then when we're inspecting it, I don't have to say, hey, board, we have to come back,
Right.
So if we could
This
put
is
it
what
over.
happened at Toll.
It happens at every application.
Okay.
And so we will attempt to use breeze block to the extent permitted by the utility.
Perfect.
What is that?
That's, Chris, you
The
mind
same-
going back
same
to
block
the,
as their.
like the terracotta
fence.
block?
That terracotta patterned block
Right there,
that
yeah.
the,
Okay.
yeah. I think that's a great idea and it
Done.
introduces the same material now
You did bring up good
on another elevation, which is great.
And
So
keeping
Which is
in,
why you
Yeah,
have plants.
I just, personally, I feel like anytime we try to use just landscaping to screen meters, you can still see the meters. When you have something built, then you can use landscaping to screen the wall you built, so.
and just so that we're upfront about it, obviously if the utility doesn't think there's enough clearance with the breeze block, we have to abide by what they say, but we can attempt to propose that in a way that we think satisfies the utility.
Figure out how to do it.
Okay.
And kind of
All
before
right.
you keep jumping on, I'm sorry. I don't mean
It's
to- so-
breeze block?
Breeze
Because
block.
they're
And
perforated.
Chris,
Breeze.
Chris and Kyra, can
So,
you guys just?
oh, I'm sorry.
No, can you just prefer the details, since you're kind of, the revisions of the details for the railing? Can you make sure that all those revisions are on the plan for each railing? And if you could, like the balcony, the railing,
They are on our new exhibit.
perfect. And even, like I see, and I just wanted to put on the record, there's a cable railing on the storage. Are we keeping that? Or is that staying, or is that going to be transitioned? It's your sheet 20 of the July 10th.
Hold on. I want to address your question, but Chris brought up one of our submitted exhibits already. This is showing the dog walk area with that breeze block. So for the board's visual thought, the screening of the meters, should we have to do it with that wall, would look very much like that image.
But it would have to be significantly higher, right? Because the meters have to be on
Not
the side of
always.
the garage?
It has to be above your base flood elevation, but it could be 6 feet. Yeah, it
But
could.
isn't our base flood elevation
How tall is that wall?
the tops of these bushes?
So you'd have to look at one second.
So that wall is depicted at 6 feet in height right now.
Right, but the point is, Chris, if you could go to the elevation, your updated elevation of the garage with the, module things. Right, okay. So where's where's the floor inside the garage? Is that the low band?
It's that low band, yeah,
So the meters have to be above.
just
that.
above that band.
Right. So
Right,
it's
and
like 5 feet above grade?
yeah, when you look at the other side of the building,
Yeah.
the fence, the breeze block stops like almost right, yeah, there, almost like
Yeah.
right at floor level. So that would be a pretty
Yeah.
high wall, right?
I think though, if you're on the street and something is at that same height, you're not going to see it. I don't know that
Again,
we
we're gonna
need
have
to
the
go
combination
higher.
of the breeze block, I mean, it's not gonna be a solid wall, it's not gonna be completely invisible, but it's not gonna be, 27 meters in a stack.
Well, I'm not complaining, I'm just trying to make sure.
And it
we
would
don't
only
think
need
about
to
what
be
this would look
4 or 5 feet off the wall
Right.
of the garage. So you'd have room in front for planting also.
Yep.
It's not out at the street. Because you only need 3 feet clearance
Right.
in the wall in the front of the meter.
So then you put the plants on the outside, and you get that double effect. And if we can use some tall things, then, yeah, you get that extra.
So with those modifications then, is it possible we don't need a design exception for shielding of utilities? I think that's probably the case.
If we have a backup plan.
Is that a design exception?
I think it was raised in your report.
I think it's just a recommendation.
I'm sorry, I think the utilities in your report referred to the rooftop equipment, which I think we've satisfied that that's also been shielded. So we would eliminate the design exception related to utilities, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So just moving through the other design exceptions then.
So there, in the planner's report, July 31st,
That's correct.
2026, I'd just like to quickly go through that. I think there's some repetition from the design waivers and variances that were mentioned in the engineers, so I think this will be quick. But I don't want to forget your question about cable rail.
Yeah,
Where did you see that?
Oh, it's page 20 on your storage building. And again, really, it's where I'm coming from.
On the ramp.
Yeah, where I'm coming from, it's so when we're out there taking a look when
Yeah,
the
this-
construction goes on, that we see it. It's
This
what's
this is internal, but it will be changed to the same
perfect,
route.
yeah.
Good pickup.
Yeah,
thank
just so
you.
if we could have the detail on the plans. That's not
That was a little artistic license with the renderer, I think.
So I think should the board approve, as a condition of approval, you would agree that the railings shown.
It's shown here in the revised
Well,
exhibit.
let's mark that page then, because that page has not been marked.
Okay.
So can we mark that one then as A6?
And that's courtyard rendering.
What does it depict, the railing?
Courtyard rendering.
Okay.
And it depicts both the updated railing, and then I think it also depicts the new garage opening.
Yes.
The
So
new detail at the garage.
as a condition, we would agree, the applicant would agree that the railings and the garage openings would be revised throughout the building, consistent with A3 and A6.
So with the board's permission, just to, again, there's a lot of repetition in the two reports. Obviously, I won't revisit each point, but there were comments about the building elements. We've discussed the update to the building, the aesthetic, the Mediterranean revival, and all of the new detailing. The balconies, the railings, and the fact that we enclosed the ADA barrier-free wheelchair lift in a solid enclosure instead of glass. We've talked about the ordinance requires transition lines to differentiate the middle of the building from the base, and we've discussed tonight how we've done that. And
And
also,
if we want to just pause there for a moment. So the way you've done that, just to summarize your testimonies, we don't think we need the design waiver because you now have a base with the parking that has the decorative circle and the square elements and the banding. You have a middle that consists of the windowed area, and then a top which has the decorative roof elements. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe we're prominently differentiated now between the base and the middle or upper portion of the building.
I agree.
So we will eliminate the request for that particular design exception.
So I'm just going to ask Donna, so I guess when I read your report, I was thinking you wanted something like a different color or a different material at the base. This satisfies your.
This satisfies the technical requirement. I think it could work, everybody's got their own personal preference and design aesthetic, but yeah, it satisfies the requirement.
Okay.
Your ordinance requires that building frontages have positive pedestrian contribution. We feel that the design of the building, as well as the incorporation of the garden spaces, which our site engineer and landscape architect can go into more detail, certainly have a positive pedestrian contribution. And I would also point out, as the professionals will in a moment, that our garden spaces, for example, on Cookman at the entry, will be publicly accessible. So these are small little pocket parks that the public can walk through.
And I will ask others to clarify, but just for the record, the spaces outside of the wall are not going to be deeded to the city. They will remain private and cared for by the homeowners association. However, they will be accessible to the public, meaning someone could come and sit on the bench, but they will not be deeded public property.
Could you go back to the space one more time? I'm going to ask your opinion as the architect. The original version of this, I had a big problem with the no transition between the base and the upper level. I think you've made tremendous changes, and thank you for that. So I'm just going to ask your opinion. Is you chose to leave it that same white color? It looks very nice. Is there a reason you chose to leave it white instead of like the other beige color or something else? What was your thought there?
The exterior is two-toned. The areas that are set in and recessed, as well as certain areas of the building that step back, are a slightly darker color. So the buildings behind you on the wall, the ones that we showed as some of the historic buildings, were all white.
Yeah.
We didn't elect to go all white and just have some slight tonal difference just to accentuate the architecture and the design.
I think it looks really nice right now, so thank you for making
Thank you.
all these changes.
That was actually a recommendation by the TRC.
I can't take credit for that. The planner's report talks about a lot of the detailing of windows, things that we've already addressed. I won't repeat my responses. Concealing and screening the HVAC equipment, metal railings to be Mediterranean, we did that. We did provide the additional detail. The planner report asked for more detail on fences and walls and the breeze block and the wood gates. We did provide that. Also, our original floor plans had some dimensions, but not a lot of dimensions. So you had to almost infer what a room size might be. Our current submission is replete with dimensions of every room on the residential floor.
And if there's any that are missing, can add them as a condition of approval, correct?
Yes, sorry. And then we've talked about the architectural design, the guidelines of the waterfront redevelopment plan to encourage the design of a building that supports pedestrian activity and supports the regional architecture in New Jersey Shore area, but in a contemporary way. So again, I think we've responded successfully to that with our Mediterranean-inspired building. We had a difficult site in terms of having 4 public facades and 4 street frontages, but we've kept the design and the aesthetic consistent on all facades. I think that's important to repeat. There's no back to this building. There's no nice front materials and then something lesser on the backside. We're consistent all the way through.
Just a few other items. One, the doors are sliding doors, correct, that go out to the balcony?
Yes, that's true.
And that allows for functionality and access to the balcony, correct?
Correct.
And
screens.
And the doors are not made of wood, which is a requirement, but as a practical matter, the glass is part of the design here and part of the function, correct?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Keep going, Jen.
And then just on the balcony configuration, the balconies, I know you mentioned, are mostly inset, but they are partially cantilevered, correct?
Correct.
And the brackets there, there's an ornamental bracket that's proposed, right? But it's not a functional bracket?
Correct. Those
So-
are decorative.
As a technical matter, that does technically require a design exception because of the cantilevered balconies, correct?
Correct.
So what requires the exception? The fact that it's a cantilever balcony or the fact that it's
So it's a
not a bracket?
Yeah, so the standard is that it needs to be a bracketed, supported balcony. These are cantilevered with a decorative.
There's no visual difference.
Okay.
It's a technical difference.
Can we go back to the garage door? So it has glass panels? What are we proposing here?
Yes, metal and glass.
And is the glass clear or frosted?
Um,
Barbara's shaking.
I believe it's clear.
I think it's going to be frosted.
I think I said
He
frosted.
did say frosted.
I think there was a
Frosted final
comment,
answer?
one of the two reports, I forget which, asked about headlights. Obviously, we have a ramp coming down, so temporarily, as you come and that door opens, lights will be shining out horizontally. You'll then be driving down, lights will not be cast across the street, which is a benefit of that ramped driveway. And then when you get down to grade again, you're at street level.
And we have our civil engineer prepared to address what's directly across the street, which, not to steal his thunder, is going to be part of the commercial unit of another approved project. Right.
I think the last thing for me on my notes, actually two quick things. One is that we have an entrance on Lake Avenue. This will be at the bottom of an egress stair tower, so obviously it has an egress function. Should there be an emergency in the building, that doorway will be used. But it's also a stair tower that brings you down directly to the south yard, the dog walk park, and the courtyard and the storage building. So we imagine that residents will use that as an entry. It will be locked and secured and controlled, but we do feel that it will be an entrance that will be used
Bring your dog outside.
to bring your dog outside, or you come back from the beach, put your stuff in the storage building, and then you walk up. Obviously, you need to walk up to at least the garage level to then access the elevator or walk up and down the stair. Also, last
The
item,
gates to that rear courtyard also.
they'll also
key
be
to the
secured. And we do have two places for bike storage. We have a bike storage room inside the garage that we can fit about 40 bikes in with double stacking. I believe the planner's report made a suggestion of 2 bikes per unit, which would be 54. But we do have the storage building. So that storage building, we imagine, would also be used for bike storage. So between the 2 spaces, we do feel that we could accommodate even a suggested 2 bikes per unit.
Well, because you brought up the bike room. When you did floor plans, we went through this ground floor plan very quickly. Can you just walk us through everything on this ground floor plan?
Sure. So this is the first level of the building. Of course, when you get to this level, you're coming up the ramp primarily by vehicle. You're pulling through the garage door, which will be a controlled access point, and then there's the L-shaped parking garage. The tandem spaces are shown clearly from the non-tandem, and at the core of this is the elevator, the trash compactor room, and the bike storage room, and also one of the 2 emergency stairs.
And the compactor room, Sam, in your opinion, large enough for a project this size?
Yes.
And private public hauler, do we know?
Private, hauler, and there is a trash chute. So we have trash collection at each floor to a chute that brings it down. So recyclables will be collected at each floor by management, but trash will go down the chute, end up in the compactor room, and then brought out by the private
It goes down the
hauler.
ramp onto Cookman?
Yes.
Okay. And then parking, so you have 42 spaces, 41 are required. There's 2 ADAs, right? So you can only assign 40 spaces. So I know we're not short any spaces, but just, you need 1.5 per unit. How does it work? Which units get 2 spaces? Which units will only get 1? And is there enough spots for every unit to have at least 1 parking spot?
Yes.
Okay, and so what units will get 2, what would get 1?
There are tandem spots that we would like to assign to 12 of the first 15 3-bedroom units.
Okay.
And then the rest of the spaces would be assigned per unit, designated.
So will there be 3-bedroom units that only have 1 parking spot?
No,
No, every 3-bedroom unit will have 2.
15 is 30. They'll have 2.
Okay. Okay.
Are you, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you said there are 2 ADA spaces.
They're 2 barrier-free spots.
How are they allocated?
They
Are
would,
they just kept free, so?
they're kept free. And then there are certain ones that have the EV chargers. So if you have an EV charger, it'll have to be assigned, or
That was going to be my question. How many are you planning to put?
we have 9 EV charging spaces.
And those will be make-ready or set up on day 1?
Well, I think we're going to set them up on day 1. The make-ready phase-in sometimes makes sense, but here you have to provide the power for everything up front. You might as well.
Yep, great.
Did I miss anything?
You did not.
I actually have
Oh.
one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just made a note. Regarding the public access or the public spaces you indicated, they're not being deeded to the city. Is there some sort of written assurance that they will be maintained as public access spaces?
So-
Or could it be revoked?
I will have Mr. Leff kind of go through where those spaces are, that they're just adjacent to the right-of-way. And in the subsequent developer agreement, for example, it is required that the homeowners association take care of that area and maintain it, along with the street trees after installation. But it would remain private property, so it's not being controlled by the city.
But it's accessible to the public.
It's intended that those benches are available for the public.
And what about the dog run?
Dog run is private, that is for the residents. That's, dog run,
I bring my dog.
yeah, the dog run is for the residents only, it is in the secure area.
But when you move here,
Yeah.
I have another question.
yes, sir.
Are you planning to put one of those car arriving signs outside of the garage? Several of
pedestrian
our
warnings.
buildings have had
I've
them,
seen that in
and it's
town
right
also.
on Cookman Avenue, so there's
We
a
have
lot
a
of foot
warning
traffic on
system.
Cookman Avenue, especially in the summer.
Chris is reminding me, we have installed those in our projects in Asbury Park, so.
Right.
Is it?
So, yes.
Are we doing it here?
Yes.
We are
Right.
proposing it here.
Okay.
I think that our,
Visual or auditory or both?
We've usually been requiring both.
Both.
Both, yeah.
I'm curious, where would they be, or was that going to be Bob?
Why don't we ask our
I think we
civil
should-
engineer to
Yeah,
address
and-
this?
Okay, yeah.
the only reason I hesitate, if I may, is the other projects, the garage entry is very close to the sidewalk. Here, there's actually a very wide distance between that ramp, and there's really less danger here and conflict. So I'm actually going to defer to the site engineer on whether he thinks that that's actually necessary. If we were pulling right out in 2 feet,
Yes.
5 feet later, but here we have 35 feet
35.
before we
You
get
might
to
want
the
a
street.
stop bar or something.
Yes. Mike?
And just to throw on a record, because Mike had mentioned, you're not going to be able to, you have 15 3-bedrooms and you have 12 tandem spaces. So every 3-bedroom will not get 2 spaces.
Not everyone, 12 of the.
No, right, but he asked you the question.
But are there enough spaces
No.
left? Like, can a 3-bedroom have 2 spaces that are non-tandem?
No. So that's why I wanted to put that on record. They have sufficient parking for this application. However, not every 3-bedroom is guaranteed 2 parking spaces.
Okay, and so how does it work? And maybe this is a question for James. So if a building like this, new building, there's adequate parking per the plan. If someone buys a 3-bedroom unit, wants 2 spaces, can they get permit parking, or do you not allow that because there's on-site parking?
It depends on how many spaces they have available. Their property manager has to provide the city with a letter. One residence have 1 spaces, or how many spaces.
Okay.
So if you have 2 spaces on site, you need a 3rd vehicle to get a space in the street. If you have 1 space in the garage, your 2nd and 3rd vehicles need spaces on the street.
So even if you have like a 1-bedroom unit and you have 2 cars, if you get 1 spot in the building, you could still apply for 1 spot on the street.
So I said again, you want.
Like, let's say I get a
You get a
1.
spot in the garage.
Uh-huh.
You can't get a space on the street. Unless you have more cars than you have spaces in the garage. You are required to use your spaces in the garage before you use the street.
Okay. Okay.
I'd like to hear your rationale concerning the ordinance that says that you need retail on your lower floor and you're not providing it. Tell us.
So we have a planner.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't believe that's what the ordinance requires for this
It's not a
location.
requirement, it's a recommendation.
Jim, can we table that for the planner?
Sure.
That's a good question. I know you went through a lot of Donna's report, but I was not going through number by number. Donna, was there anything else in your report specifically for the architect?
No, I think they hit everything. And they did knock off a couple of design exceptions. And a couple are mitigated enough to be justified.
Any more questions for the architect from the board? And so let's open it up to the public. Questions for the architect?
Do I have to be sworn in, Jack?
No, you're asking questions, that's.
Okay, Dan Shanamayo, 615 Asbury Avenue, and candidate for mayor of Asbury Park. I'll be filing tomorrow to be on the ballot. So I'll start with the easy ones. So explain to me about the balcony. So, you said we're 3 feet. So does that mean our ordinance says you can only be 3 feet outside the building or 3 feet in total?
The ordinance states that balconies can be 3 feet in depth.
That's it?
My understanding is that the intent of that is a 3-foot projection where we are providing only a 2-foot projection.
So your answer is our ordinance, the ordinance is 3 feet outside or
You
inside?
gotta let him finish the answer before you
Okay.
start continuing the question. Let him finish.
I believe that the ordinance clearly states a 3-foot projection. We're at 2 feet, and the rest of our balcony depth is within the building volume itself.
Okay, so Donna, is that right?
No.
No, okay. So you read our ordinance differently than this gentleman?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's supposed to be.
Okay, so,
The design standards are based on classical design.
it's either 3 feet or
That
not.
design is, a balcony is a small nugget on the facade.
Is it 3
And that's
feet?
why it says 3 feet.
So it's 3 feet?
Yes,
Okay, and this is 5 feet?
yes.
So it doesn't comply? Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to another easy one. Can you pull up where you got your architectural inspiration from those buildings, please?
Sure.
Okay. Can you show me which of those buildings have sliding windows there?
They don't.
Okay. Can you show me where any of those buildings have flush windows and don't have sills?
They don't.
Okay. Your building has flush windows, does it?
We have flush windows and no window sills. Some of these buildings
Yeah, well, that's what, you answered my question. So,
slightly
so-
recessed.
Gotta let him finish.
He answered it, Jack.
No, he didn't. You're saying that he did because you want.
Jack, is this cross-examination? Am I allowed to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, but you're
Okay,
not
so then
allowed
please.
to interrupt the
I'm not
witness.
interrupting. He answered my
Yes, you
question.
are.
He
Yes,
answered my
you are.
question.
I'm the board attorney, and I'm telling
Okay.
you are.
Okay.
You gotta let him finish, then you
Okay.
can question him from now to doomsday.
Go ahead.
So my answer is that in some of these images that you've asked me to pull back on the screen, many of these do not have windowsills. They're generally flush without windowsills in a lot of these examples.
But the
Similar
older
to
buildings
what-
that you took, I'm talking
Similar-
about the older buildings.
Similar to what we've
Okay,
proposed.
the older buildings. Are you finished your answer? So can I speak again? The
Yeah,
older
when I
buildings,
stop, I
not North
stop.
Beach, the older buildings that you took for architectural inspiration. Do they have flush windows or do they have windowsills?
No, they all don't have windowsills.
They all don't have what?
Windowsills,
Can you show me which ones don't have windowsills?
sure. That brick. Yeah,
Those look like windowsills to me.
no, those aren't windowsills, those are,
Are they flush windows?
Mr. Roncati, go ahead.
those don't have windowsills because they have flush brick detail around the building.
The windows, the glass is set back from the facade, are they
Set
not?
back- I believe they're
Isn't
set
that an
back.
architectural element that we wrote in the waterfront plan?
Is that a question or a comment?
I think I had it, my note went up at the end. Isn't that an element that we wrote in the waterfront plan that buildings should have?
The waterfront plan requires recessed windows, not flush with window sills.
Okay.
And what we see in these examples is a mixture of that requirement.
Well, I see, to me, to my eye, I see all recessed windows.
I have
You
to
don't have.
object to
Excuse me,
any
Councilor.
comments as opposed to questions. This time is for questions, I believe.
I'm asking a question, I do see all recessed windows, and your project does not have recessed windows. That is, isn't that true?
No.
Okay. Well, I think we could all see that these buildings have recessed windows, and in fact, our waterfront plan, let me ask you a
Mr.
question.
Chair.
Do you think we wrote things in the waterfront plan because we meant them?
Dan, can we keep this to questions for the architect?
This is the architect.
Presentation, please.
Well, I am, Michael. Do you think they're asking for exceptions to the waterfront plan? And I'm asking, do they think that we wrote things in the waterfront plan because we meant them? That we wanted to have recessed windows? That we did not want sliding windows? These were the architectural elements that we wanted in our buildings. Isn't that true, sir?
I have to object. Mr. Roncati is here to talk about the proposed design of the building. We have a planner that will come at the end who can discuss the specific requirements, but I don't know that anyone is in a position to get into the mental state of the people who adopted the plan. However, we can speak to what is proposed, and we can speak to what the requirements written in the plan are and what does and does not conform, and we can have Ms. Keller present on the elements of the plan at the end.
Okay, but he is the architect,
Can I
and he
answer
drew
your
this building.
question?
Yeah,
Okay, so a lot of the images that we're showing on the screen are of existing or formerly existing buildings in Asbury Park in the Mediterranean style. The majority of these buildings are of masonry construction. Those walls, the exterior walls, are thicker than what we are proposing. We don't have flush windows. The glass in our windows is not flush with the exterior wall. It's recessed. It's recessed 2 to 4 inches. So in regard to a flush versus a recessed window, we do have recessed windows. Glass is not out at the plane of the building. We have 2x6 walls. We don't have masonry walls that are 8 to 10 inches thick with stucco and plaster on the inside. That creates a little bit more of a reveal in these exhibit photos of existing and former buildings. We don't have flush glass. You seem to be suggesting that the glass plane is out the same as the wall, and that's an incorrect statement. We also don't have sliding windows, as you stated. That's a misstatement also.
You have sliding doors, isn't that true?
Sliding doors,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
And, well, so then you're not asking for a design waiver about recessed windows? I thought you were.
So the question is a window recessed 2 to 4 inches a flush window or a pocketed in 8-inch deep reveal? We're asking for the waiver. It's consistent with the types of windows we've put in on other approved built projects in Asbury Park.
And I must have missed, you don't have retail space. You don't have retail space in this building, do you?
Hang on, it's just a second there. The 2 to 4 inches,
Yes.
is that the plane of the glass?
So
Or the frame of the window?
The frame of the window and the glass is inset. It's not flush with the actual wall.
Okay.
There's not a deep reveal. Those windows are not set back 6 to 8 inches from the finished surface of the wall. I think the language in the ordinance is attempting to emulate what we see in these masonry buildings, but these are very thick 12 to 14-inch deep walls with windows set back farther. But we're not flush.
Okay, so if you give us a detail in your plans that gives, for the window set,
Yes.
then
That design waiver would
satisfies.
go away.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We can provide that detail.
So you do not have retail space on the ground floor, do you?
No,
And the building is partially on Cookman Avenue, yes?
yes,
And Cookman Avenue is a business street? It's the main commercial street in Asbury Park?
I think it would be appropriate to ask the planner about what is required for ground floor uses, and we will have Ms. Keller.
I didn't
at the
ask
end.
that question. He's the architect, he drew the building. So he drew the building that he thought belonged on the site, yes? Is this the appropriate
you were-
building that you thought should be on this site?
I thought you were giving us your opinion of the street. I didn't realize. it was a question.
Well, I was getting to that, but since council interrupted, and you're the architect, and you decide, am I correct, that you decide what is the appropriate building for a particular site, in this site in specific?
Ms. Keller, who is our planner, can discuss the uses and what's proposed and what is permitted. Mr. Roncati has been presenting on the architecture of the building. If you
I
have a
didn't ask
question-
him for what was permitted. I asked him, is it the architect's role, is it his role to design a building that is appropriate for the site in its location?
Are you asking
I
about,
can answer yes or no.
are you asking about the use of the building?
Excuse me?
Are you asking about the ground floor use of the building?
Well, I think he designed the ground floor use of the building, yes?
Ms. Keller will address the ground floor use of the building. That is within the scope of her anticipated testimony. It's not within Mr. Roncati's scope of testimony.
But he drew the building. Are you saying he has no opinion on what should be the ground use of the building?
Mr. Shanamayo did ask a question. Is your response that the architect has no response and the planner will answer his question?
That is correct.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Okay. That's all, thank you.
Barbara Krizak, 309 Lake Avenue. I'd like to thank you for working with us as part of the TRC, as part of the city, with the council, and creating this building from what it started out as. I think it's great.
Thank you.
But anyway, I still have questions, but I
I was
still
about to
like...
say, Barbara, that was an opinion.
I'm sorry. No opinions, I'll give my comments.
Questions, please.
Okay. I know that we had spoken about a number of my things will have to do with the residents that live on the west side of this building, which is Wesley Grove, and the people that will in the future live on the west side, which is going to be whatever it's going to be. I'm very concerned about what we talked about the shielding of people, of the utilities, of people that might live on the third or the fourth floor of Wesley Grove and the future building on the other side. I just want to make sure that shielding is truly high enough, so if they're looking out their window and it's eye level, I'm not saying that if they're like, 3 floors up above, I'm saying straight ahead that they will see shielding.
So we even if you were on the roof of a building to the west, the same exact height, you would look across and see 5-foot high screening.
Right.
Behind it, 3 to 4 foot high equipment. So it would be
Okay, so that if I'm looking out the window, straight out.
straight out, not from
Okay.
the ground, not from the other side of the
Right.
street, but directly horizontal, it will be screened.
Okay, I'm also concerned about venting.
So on this one right here, so we see this
It would be-
L-shaped screening,
Right.
and then a little bit, I'm going to say north and
Zoom
east.
in.
I know those are the wrong directions, but up and to the right. Can we see this next bank?
Right, all of that has to be shielded from the people that live in Wesley Grove on the third or fourth floor, because they're going to be pretty much even to that in my.
Or is this so far back from the street?
But it's not from the street though. I'm just saying, my question is that will it be shielded, so if I'm on Wesley Grove on the fourth floor looking across, that I'm seeing shielding?
Do they have rooftop?
They do not have a rooftop, no, but they do have terraces on the fourth floor. Private terraces and private windows that face this.
I think just our parapet wall will shield the HVAC.
Okay.
And that the screening that we're proposing is actually superfluous.
I just want to be sure that we're cognizant
Yeah.
of the residents on both sides.
Because we're 4 stories, but we're already starting 5 feet above grade, and then parking, so.
Okay, so
our
it
fourth
may-
floor is higher than their fourth floor.
And since we don't really know what's going to happen on the Wesley Lake Road Drive side, we just want to be cognizant of both. Okay,
Question for you. Do you know, is the roof height of your building higher or lower than the roof height of Wesley Grove? Do you know?
I know it's higher, I can't give you the.
It's higher?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can't give you the
So may-
So in
number
theory,
of
no
feet, but
window
it's-
from Wesley Grove should see
No.
vertically onto your roof? Okay,
No.
thank you.
also,
Excuse me a second. Before you leave that issue, did you not say earlier that you were going to screen those rooftop units at the full height that you
Yes.
said they're 36 inches high and that your
Correct.
screening was going to be
Yeah,
60?
but what I'm saying is, given the example that she's putting forth from the building to the west, top floor, I don't even think you'll see our screening because we're higher, a little bit higher, and we have a parapet wall. So if you're sitting in a unit looking east at this proposed building, I'm not even sure you'll see our screening, let alone the HVAC units.
How about if you're sitting in the tower 2 blocks away?
The tower
Yeah.
from the west.
I think it's Seaview Tower.
Then the screening would come into play, yes.
But you said you were going to put that screen.
We're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, Barbara.
it's okay. It's only my question time, it's all right. Can we go to A3, your new exhibit A3? I'm just a little concerned about the louvers.
A3 just.
This is
was
the new A3 that we did. I don't know what the number of it is.
Yeah, that one.
That one, yes.
Yes.
Now, if you take a look at your louvers, like let's say the bottom that bottom one there, just go out a little bit.
The parking?
I'm just a little concerned about the spacing of those louvers. Because, I mean, if you take a look, they're not quite even. So can I assume, or will those louvers be, like, in my mind, and tell me if I'm wrong, that it should be like 4 to the left, 3 in the middle, and then 4 to the right, evenly spaced? Because the ones on the right are not evenly spaced. There's something in the way.
Okay, so it's an interesting question. You never see, you'll never experience this building like this elevation shows, right? You're never 200 feet away and looking perfectly at that elevation. What we did, because you see it in pieces as you walk along, those vents in the garage are centered under architectural elements.
That was really my question.
Okay,
Is there a reason that they're
Yeah, so if you
that
look
way?
at them, the 3 on the left are all aligned underneath those center lines of the windows above. Then the 3 here are aligned under those 3, and then 1 more here, and then it's blank because there's a room behind that.
Okay, and if we go down, we see that there are 4 that are those also aligned?
Yes.
Oh, they're aligned to, I see the windows, I see them now.
Correct.
Okay. I know that there was a question about venting.
On the facade.
On the facade.
Yes.
And a lot of time, and there are times when we don't see the venting until it's too late. When you say that you will match as close as possible.
We'll color match the vents to the facade.
Okay.
Accurately.
Okay. And can you tell me if the vents will be facing the front of the building, or where will the venting be?
There are vents on all 4 sides.
On all 4 sides?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're showing them in these revised elevations.
Okay. Because we really need them to be the same color, please.
Yes.
Here it looks like the base is a different color. Is this?
Yeah.
Is the base
Is that
white or
the way
is the
it's
base
supposed
beige?
So Chris, who's been giving us all their exhibits, he's saying that this elevation, the color should be the same, and for some reason in the Revit program, it patterned it differently as if it was in shadow.
But it's white.
But it's white.
Okay.
Can we go to where a rendering of where the front door is? Because it's very hard to tell what the front door will look like. I see white, and I don't really know what it really will look like. Do we have a rendering of the front door?
Can we go to the submitted rendering first, the actual one you submitted, and start there?
So the door is intended to be a glass door to let light in, but also provide some security. So if you're about to leave the building, you can see through the door.
So this rendering shows the door. Now, we have another exhibit that shows the updated stairwell, but this exhibit shows the door.
So that's what the door is going to...
It's a double door with
Okay.
2 sides.
Okay, it was just hard to see
Yeah.
on the other rendering.
Yes, I
Okay.
agree.
Okay. When you went through the first level, the garage level, you mentioned about the bike storage,
Yes.
and that some of the bike storage would be in the storage and some would be in some other area. Can you tell me if at least we can fit 27 bicycles in that bike storage, as opposed to someone having to go to their locker outside to put it into their storage area, as opposed to, I mean, I understand not 2, but but 1.
We've determined 40 bikes in the garage storage.
40?
Yeah.
Okay, you answered my question.
They're double stacked.
Okay. And one other, well, this might be the engineer, but how about if I ask and you tell me if it's somebody else?
Yeah.
How do I get out of the garage, outside of the garage door? Like, let's say I have my bicycle, I want to leave, how do I get out?
You would have to go down the ramp.
Okay, is there any other, all right, if I'm just walking, came back from my car, I just want to drop something off from my car, I want to go outside. How do I do that? Do I have to open up the garage door and go out that way, or is there a physical door I can use, or no?
There's the door on the south side of the building. It leads to a short stairwell.
Okay, so I can get out that way?
Exterior stairwell.
Okay.
You'd have to take your bike down a few stairs.
Well, if I'm just walking, I'll just walk, I'll go down. Not that I'm moving, but I'm just saying. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That it for the architect.
Okay, if there's no other members of the public, we can move on to civil engineering then.
I am going to make a motion for a 5-minute break.
I'll
Anyone
second that motion.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye, great. Thank you. 5 minutes, everyone.
Thank you.
Roll call, James Bonanno.
Here.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Here.
Jim Henry.
Here.
Mayor Moore.
Here.
Daniel Shinameo recused. Bob Zuckerman.
Here.
Kathy McLaughlin.
Here.
Vice Chair Goonan.
Here.
And Chairwoman Kurzak is recused.
Thank you very much. So for our next witness, we would like to call Bob Curley, our site civil engineer.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, got it. James, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Robert Curley.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Curley, we are going to be asking to qualify you as an expert in the field of civil engineering. If you could please summarize your experience, background, and licensure.
Actually, how many times have you appeared?
Yeah. Is your license still current?
Yes, my license is still
All right,
current.
I think we're good.
At least 50 times, right?
Probably in excess of 50.
Okay.
So I take it the board will accept Mr. Curley as an expert in the field of civil engineering.
You will.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Curley, if you could walk us through your site plans. Now, just to confirm, these are the site plans that you previously submitted, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, go right ahead.
So one of the aspects of the design that we wanted to look at initially was to be compliant with the DEP regulations as far as flood hazard, and making sure what we were trying to do was have the access to the building at the highest point of the property. So in order for us to do that, the highest point of the property is probably about 15 or 20 feet from the corner of St. James Place on Cookman Avenue. So that's what, in this design, pushed the driveway or the access to that point. During our review process with the Technical Review Committee and the council, there was a request to try to pull the building forward to be closer to Cookman Avenue, which we were able to do. We moved the building forward approximately 15 feet. And what that did was, although we still had to keep to the existing curb elevations that are on Cookman Avenue, the entrance pushes into the garage. So that was another architectural change that we did, and that was again based upon the idea to try and pull the building closer to Cookman Avenue. The grading is set up so that there's a requirement when you're in a floodplain such as this that you don't increase the fill. So we had to go through and design the site with the thought process that there would be no net fill for the property. And what we did was we have a crawl space underneath of the garage, and that allows the stormwater to vent through, and we maintained the no net fill.
One of the comments that was in the review letter had to do with access in and out of the garage, and then how that could potentially affect development across the street. So I was able to pull up the architectural plans that were presented to the planning board for block 3801. And they do have, the first floor consists of retail and parking. So the parking is closer to the west portion of the corner building, and there's retail closer to the point of the triangle. That elevation for that finished floor is elevation 13. Then there's residential development above that commercial and parking area. That residential finished floor is at elevation 27. So our exit from our garage is at elevation 14, which is in excess of 10 feet below any potential residential development that would be on the adjacent site on block 3801. So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention because I know that was a concern. The other aspect that was brought out in the engineering review letter was that there's no loading zone for this property, and that is correct. The thought process would be for if there was going to be deliveries made, a delivery truck could either pull up to either side of the driveway in either of those striped areas and do the delivery into the building and then leave. As far as loading and unloading for a move in or move out, the only thing I could think of is that they would possibly have to rent the stalls for a day or have them taken out of service for a day if that was going to be a major move-in day. But there is no quote-unquote requirement for a loading zone for a building like this.
Can you just briefly address the stormwater management and how that's incorporated into the landscape areas?
Yes. So, again, with this being within the floodplain and trying to and maintaining and meeting the requirements for the best management practices, what we have 3 detention basins that one is located on the west side of the building, one would be on the east side of the building, and then the last would be that it actually wraps around the corner, and then the last would be at the south of the storage building. So those 3 areas will be rain gardens, and they will be planted, and then they're under drained, and they ultimately tie into the existing storm sewer system that's abutting the site. The streets that surround the entire development have been fully developed to their full width based upon the infrastructure component report. The only thing that's missing are the final improvements, which would be the proposed site lighting, and also sidewalk that will ultimately go around the entire block. So another question had to do with the existing electric service for the building, and there is an existing transformer which is intended to be maintained, which is located at the southeast corner, right next to Lake Avenue and Wesley Lake Drive. So it's right on that corner. So if you go back to the other page, it's located, there's the transformer. From that transformer, the electric service will be brought to the front of the building, and then the meters will be on the far side as shown on the architectural plans. And the gas service comes in on the west side of the building, and again, those meters will be sited as shown on the architectural plans. So in regard to the parking, I know that it was gone through pretty clearly. The required parking is 42. The required parking, is 41 stalls, and we're providing 42. We're also increasing the on-street parking by 4 stalls. And this does not include any EV credits for anything, so we're not looking to do that, but just suffices to say that we exceed the ordinance requirements, the redevelopment requirements for our site.
Before we leave parking, since we're talking about parking and car movements and curb cuts, we had talked about a warning system. So if there is this long, steep driveway before the sidewalk, and this is a busy sidewalk on Cookman, what would you recommend here? Stop bar, stop sign, auditory, visual warning? What do you think would be best?
On either side of the driveway, posts could be placed, flashing posts with auditory. I mean, that could easily be done. It's curbed all the way down to the edge of sidewalk, so it's not like a vehicle could stray off either side.
Bob, what are the proposed signs that you have above top of wall, each side, or below bottom wall? What, those two on each side, what are those proposed? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Like, did you already have, like, is that, I assume that those were the pedestrian warning. Maybe I was wrong.
It says area subject to flooding sign.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
My 2 cents, I think,
Yeah,
if you
please.
all wanted it, would be the pedestrian warning signs, stop bars, and a stop sign. A lot of people might not actually, if I'm a driver, I might not actually stop or utilize that. The positive with those pedestrian warning signs is they're triggered, so then a pedestrian knows, hey, car's coming out. You know.
So you think it should be switch both?
But I would recommend a pedestrian warning sign and
Pedestrian warning
not
sign.
a stop bar or stop
Okay.
sign. Yeah. I mean, or you could always do a stop bar. You could right. You could always do that. But like instead of one or the other, I would say pedestrian warning sign. Yep.
Right where the driveway meets the sidewalk.
Right. Correct. Yeah. Because then if you're a pedestrian and you're walking, that'll get triggered before the car's even there.
Okay.
So if I'm walking or anyone's walking,
Are
you would know.
you guys okay with that? Or is that what you'd already proposed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In regard to the stormwater management, again, on the site, just so that the board's understanding, the DEP has had these plans for quite some time. Mike Sheehan did do a preliminary review and didn't see anything that was of concern, quote unquote. He didn't finish his review. I just want to be clear about that. But he didn't indicate that there was any concerns with the way we had it designed.
Jack, if you don't mind,
one
a
of
a resolution of approval would have to be DEP approval.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
Absolutely.
No, I know, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
there's a lot of time. It's standard, it's one of those things that normally we have approval.
And one of the first comments in the engineer's review letter had to do with the submission of a stormwater management, operation and maintenance manual. I'm reluctant to finalize it until the DEP says it's okay, and they also require us to submit it after his indication that he's satisfied with the drainage, so I'll absolutely be part of the submission.
So we would agree, should the board approve the application as a condition of approval, that we would submit the stormwater
I have a
maintenance
standard
plan.
clause. I have a standard condition.
One of the other items that was a concern voiced in the engineer's review letter had to do with the parking circulation within the garage itself. And I thought
We
that this
did,
was
yeah,
submitted.
so full transparency, we did do this during the TRC. We did see this.
Okay.
And just so the board is aware, I invite every single one of you, no exaggeration, to any of these sites when we're going through it. This isn't picking on, this works on paper. I invite any one of you to come to see how it works in real life, right? Again, on paper, this works, right? On paper, they make their 42 when they need 41. Even if you think about loading, there's something that I put in the letter just because I think about it, but then, ultimately, if you're voting on it, you can't say, oh, well, theoretically, right? Like loading, I always harp on loading because we know what's going to happen. Amazon's going to park on Cookman and double park, and then there's a potential Now, that's not on this applicant, right? However, with parking maneuverability, we see this every single time. And the tandem parking and logistics, again, it's going to be whoever's living here's problem, nightmare, and not this board. I always bring it up though, just so you at least see it. But again, I invite anyone to come out to those parking lots when we're building them, just to see how they actually work. But on paper, to Bob's point, yes, this does work. If you don't mind, Bob or Chris, zooming in, it's like a 4-point K-turn, and that's in the ones that they chose, that we had mentioned. So is it possible? Yes, but that's what you would have to do if you're one of these residents living here. Again, I don't know what authority we have because it does work on paper, but it's something I always like to bring up so you can see it.
And while I believe this was submitted ahead of time, I'd like to just go ahead and mark it out of abundance of caution. So this is A7, and we'll call this the turning exhibit, correct?
Yes. One of the other, or the next section in the review letter that was gone through with the engineer's review had to do with the exterior lighting. I had computer issues when I was plotting this, and I have the site lighting plan here. All of the correct designation.
Perfect, thank you.
And I believe that this was also submitted subsequent to the original planning board submission.
Yes.
So it does show the site lighting. It has the existing lights that surround the building. The proposed lighting will have no effect on anything beyond our property line. When you turn off the proposed, or the existing and proposed street lights, there will be basically no effect on exterior lighting on the exterior portion of our property line.
So this exhibit right now includes the street lighting?
That's correct.
Okay, and it is your professional opinion that if you were to sort of remove the street lighting from this model, that the lighting from the site itself would not exceed the requirements at the boundary line of the property?
That's correct.
I'm sorry. The street lighting, so this exhibit has both the street lighting and...
That's correct. The street lightings street lights are designated as EX.
So just because we haven't all had a chance to look at this, I would say if we get there, I would just want you guys to review this and approve it as a condition of approval. Okay.
And so does this have the actual light levels associated with the spots now? Yes, okay.
The new one does.
Yeah, all right. And then, so I had called out that there was some kind of hotspot inconsistencies up in the little seating plaza. Are we correcting that now? Let's see.
16, you see it right there.
And these are bollard lights, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I've got one, let's see. That one's good. That's okay. Yeah, so if we could just get that a little more unified, a little more uniformity in that space.
I think, should the board approve as a condition of approval, we would agree to work with the board's professionals on better uniformity in that seating area, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so to keep moving, we're going through the Avakian report from August 10th.
Gotcha. And so you all touched on it. Bob, you did a good job. Thank you. Just for the board's aware, I'll run through what Bob had just said. So flood hazard storage areas, Bob had come up, this is not wetlands on the site, correct?
No, there's not.
Yep, thank you. So it's a flood hazard area, so what Bob was articulating is just net fill, means that you have to have a major flood event, movement of water underneath. They meet that, like you mentioned. Quantity, they've meet all the reduction requirements, quality and recharge, they've all actually not subject to, and they also did touch, Bob, you spoke on the permeable pavers, right? Did you articulate that?
That's correct.
Okay, so permeable pavers are going to be collected as a source of green infrastructure as well as those bio-retention basins. So as far as stormwater goes, they hit on everything. And Bob, forgive me if I should have asked Conrad, the dog walk area, what's that material going to be? Is it going to be grass or artificial turf? Is really what I'm
It won't, it'll be artificial turf. It won't be grass.
Okay, so if it is artificial turf, can you just like put the detail on the plans, please, and
Yes.
make it permeable?
The landscaping comments will reserve for Mr. Leff. And then the development review comments largely refer to ordinance sections, though I think we generally agree, even if they don't apply, we work with the planning board on meeting some of those sidewalk criteria. And then I think that was it. Was there anything else we haven't addressed from your report?
No, thank you.
And we will comply with all of the comments in regard to construction details and
Perfect,
notes
thank
that are
you.
needed for the existing and proposed improvements that are going to be abutting the roadway.
That is all I have for Mr. Curley.
Question, so the improvements in the city right-of-way are being done by the master developer, correct?
That's correct.
On Lake Drive and Wesley Lake Drive?
On all four sides.
Oh, on all four sides. And then within this lot, there was a note in Donna's report about the benches. You thought they should be more consistent with the Mediterranean revival style. Is that a question for you or for a landscape architect?
I think we'll have our landscape architect address that.
I have a couple of quick questions. What's the height of the garage door?
The height of the,
I mean, elevation off the ground?
No, the height of the door itself, the door itself. You have an opening, you have a 20-foot opening, how high is it?
you know what, I don't want to,
Rephrase the question.
I don't want to say the wrong
You were talking
dimension.
concerning the loading zone. You mentioned before, you're talking about the loading zone, there really is no place for the loading zone. Is your garage door high enough so that you can get a reasonably sized truck in there to go to the elevators?
7'6" is the
7'6"?
is the
It's not?
max.
So you can't get a,
No.
okay.
Bob, I just have one question about, in the garage, about the accessible route from the spaces to the elevator. I guess basically, if they can just,
Yeah, it's approximately 50 feet from the handicap stall to,
Are you just asking that it be delineated within the garage?
I don't think there's anything else you can do. It's not like we can move the accessible spaces somewhere else or turn
Right.
the elevator around, so.
we absolutely can put striping within.
One other quick question, if I may. In your crawl space, what's the surface of the crawl space going to be?
That's going to be screeded concrete.
Okay. So we're not going to get any weeds growing up there?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members? Questions from our professionals? Questions from the public?
Hi, just, well, there's a question, you didn't really touch on it, but it has to do with the loading zone. Where are the mailboxes? So that wherever they're loading or delivering, is it on the first floor or is it by the front door?
So the mailboxes would all be internal into the building? So
Okay, is that on the garage level or is that on the entry level?
It would be at the,
Okay, so if they're loading, let's just say, Amazon comes, they're bringing their packages, they have to bring them upstairs somewhere.
that's correct.
Okay,
Or up that?
Or
That
use,
should be
or use the
tricky.
lift, or use the lift elevator.
yeah, that's gonna be tricky. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. There's no other questions from the public, then we will call our landscape architect. All right, now, Mr. Leff has also appeared here numerous times before, but I'll allow Mr. Serpico to swear you in first.
Please raise your right hand. Solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
Brian Leff, L-E-F-F.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Leff, if you could very quickly summarize your credentials, as we'll be asking you to be qualified as an expert.
Do you want him to restate his credentials?
No, I think we're okay.
My license is
Your
current.
license is
Your
current.
license is current.
We
My
accept you as
license
an
is current.
expert.
And just for the record, it's in the field of landscape
I
architecture.
am licensed as a landscape architect in the state of New Jersey.
Wonderful. All right, Mr. Leff, let's go to the plans that you have submitted. If you could briefly describe the landscaping on this site.
Sure. At first, I heard some questions and a little bit of description about the open spaces that were designed in. As was mentioned, there are two open spaces, one in the eastern corner, the northeastern corner of the property. That one is, well, I'm going to call it semi-public. It is still owned by the private entity, but there is no barrier. There are no gates. There is nothing stopping anyone from using any of those benches or walking through, enjoying the shade, enjoying the view, and it will be maintained by the management. The second open space is really at the south side of the building, pretty much encompasses the whole south side. It includes the area between the storage building and the main building. In those spaces, just some open areas with permeable pavers to allow the stormwater to drain through. There is an area shown for a fire pit out there with some seating. Other areas just shown with general seating and benches. And the part all the way on the right side of the screen there along the southeastern side is a dog run. That would be surfaced with an artificial turf specifically made for dogs so it can be hosed down nice and easy. Everything drains through. And that would be for the exclusive use of the residents. When you talk about the landscape plantings, I'm sure you've heard this on every application. I know I've stated it. Everything needs to be salt tolerant. We all know that, which puts really constrains your options on what you can use. On this particular property, the one benefit that we have that is somewhat unique to this property that I really haven't experienced in Asbury Park is we actually have room around the building to provide landscaping. And in this case, our engineer figured out a way to incorporate rain gardens. With the rain gardens, I know you're used to seeing them, and they're typically just a seated bottom, and they're difficult to get established. In this case, what we're doing is heavily planting the rain gardens with shrubs, ornamental grasses, perennials, evergreen trees, ornamental trees, all wet site tolerant plants that will handle the periodic saturation. One benefit you will get from the rain gardens, aside from the stormwater benefits, is the fresh rainwater will constantly be washing the salt out of the soil. So while you still have to be very careful about aerosol salts that'll burn the leaves, the salt in the soil will be largely mitigated by the rain constantly flushing that soil out. So I do expect the plants in the rain garden to survive particularly well. They'll get plenty of water. They're all meant for this area. They are all salt tolerant. And I think it'll be a much more attractive looking rain garden than what you're used to seeing. The other thing that the extra area gives me the opportunity to use some larger evergreen plants around the base of the building. Being that you have a 5-foot crawl space to get above the flood elevation, then you have a parking level, and then you have the floor. You have a rather large foundation. I'm going to estimate it's somewhere around 15 feet. So I am using larger trees, in some cases blue spruce, some holly trees, some magnolia trees, things that are going to add some height and really help block that bottom a little bit. Are you going to see it? Yeah. Whenever you screen something with plants, you're still going to see through it. It's a screen, not a block. But I think we've done a pretty good job of providing a lot of different landscaping, a lot of color, a lot of texture, a lot of different sizes around this building to really make it look nice and not make it look like it's sticking out of the ground as much as it looks like on a bare rendering. In the end, I believe this is going to be a very attractive landscape year-round. It wasn't designed just to look good in the summer, although that is the peak season, but it will look good year-round. I believe that pretty much summarizes the landscaping. I don't know if there's specific questions. I did see some comments in the CCH report that made some recommendations for some plant changes and to take another look at where some of the larger evergreens were to make sure they weren't blocking the views of the balconies. Those are things that I will take another look at and accommodate. That is not a problem at all. And the other change that does not show up on here is what we discussed this evening with the screening of the utility meters. At some point, there will be the breeze block walls shown to screen the meters, and the landscaping will be adjusted to accommodate those walls and work with it.
I think there was just one comment in the Avakian report that had a question about certain calipers.
Yeah, you could disagree. We've actually talked about that in the past. It's height, not caliper. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
evergreen trees get measured by height, not caliper.
Great. And then I think there was a little bit of a discrepancy between the size of the rooftop deck here and on the architectural, just for clarity.
There is.
The architect has a smaller version, and that's what controls, correct?
Yes, there was a last-minute change to the architecture that did not get reflected and carried onto my plans. The rooftop area, which I skipped over, is not accurate on my plans. It will be as the architect presented it. Essentially, the area on the south below where the storage area is listed gets eliminated and the furniture gets rearranged.
Okay. Those are all the questions that I have for our landscape architect.
The letter said the landscape plan has the sculpture location, which for the life of me, I could not find.
Yes, that would be on the northwest corner of the property.
Right here.
Right along Cookman. So if you're driving down Cookman Avenue towards the beach, you would see that very prominently.
And that area was reflected in the subsequent developer agreement specifically, and it will be subject to the Public Arts Commission review, but we wanted to designate the location on the plans.
Perfect. And then the question I had earlier about the benches in the northeast corner, matching the Mediterranean Revival style. Is that something that can be?
Yes, I remember whether it was the TRC or the council, they really liked the benches that were in the rendering, which were different than other benches in town, and our intention is to use that style of bench. The only place we're restricted is in the right-of-way itself, where it has to follow the redevelopment plan, but all of our benches are on private property and are not subject to that.
Okay.
You're taking a site that, are you trying to save any of the plantings on that site that exists?
No, I think it's very impractical to try to save any of the plantings due to the extent of the grading and the nature of the improvements that are being put on the property. All of the trees that are currently on that property were planted to be temporary trees until a final development went in.
Brian, are there any trees that could be relocated off-site? Like maybe the cherries in front of the trailer?
I didn't look at the quality of the trees or the size to see what would be involved with that, so I'm not equipped to speak to that.
No problem. Let's see, what was those? Are you going to handle the planter wall details, or is that going to be?
The planter wall, the details, the construction details themselves will be handled by either the architect or the engineer.
One item on that, I think there was a discrepancy between the architectural and the civil, and the civil will control, and my understanding is that this height of the wall varies depending on the grading of the site, and that what's shown in the civil is sort of the maximum wall height.
Okay.
Okay, yep.
Any other questions for the landscape architect from our board members?
I have just a general question. You talked a lot about a lot of the evergreens that you're going to be able to plant there. Are we getting some color in this, this landscape?
Yes, there's a mixture of evergreen plants, deciduous plants, flowering shrubs, flowering trees. I believe crepe myrtles are included on this plan, possibly red buds. I can't remember if they were this or another project. Southern magnolia is technically an evergreen tree, but it also gives that beautiful flower that you can smell for blocks away.
Okay.
Plus, I forget how many different perennials and seasonal color that will come out while it's in its peak. But the idea was that you don't want it looking bare in the wintertime. So there will be a substantial amount of evergreen, but also a lot of color in the summer.
Any other questions from board members? Professionals? And any questions from the public? All right, let's move on.
Well, then we are on to our final witness of the evening, and that's Ms. Keller, who's our professional planner.
Hi, good evening.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please state your name for the record and spell it.
Sure, my name is Kate Keller, last name is Keller.
K-A-T-E?
Kate, yes.
Ms. Keller, can you please, we're going to be asking that you be qualified and recognized as an expert in the field of professional planning. Can you please summarize your background, experience, and licensure?
Sure, I have not been here nearly as much as the prior. So yes, my name is Kate Keller. I'm a principal with the firm of Phillips Price Greigel Laney Keller LLC. We are real estate and land use consultants based in Hoboken, New Jersey. I'm a licensed professional planner in New Jersey, a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners, and my licensure is current. I have been testifying before boards and been licensed since 2015. I've been before this board several times recently. I represented several boards in Monmouth County, including Freehold Township, Holmdel Township, and I have been accepted as an expert witness in the field of planning in approximately 95 municipalities across the state.
Yeah, we've been here many times. You're just like these other guys. We know you.
Never know. Thank you. Okay. Great. So yeah, so I'm here to kind of wrap everything up because you've heard a lot of testimony tonight. I think you've heard a lot of very detailed testimony on many of the design waivers that we are requesting here. I think I'm pleased to say that I think we are not requesting very many, and I think we have actually, over the course of revising our plans and with the TRC and just over the last few weeks, and even just through discussion tonight, I think we've eliminated a few more of those design waivers. So that's always a good thing. So what we really have here tonight is a building.
Excuse me for interrupting.
Yes.
Will you be able to tell us what design waivers you are going to actually request?
That's going to be the crux of my testimony. trying to start off before I get to the boring part. No, that's okay. No, thank you. So as we're all aware, we do have the site in the prime renewal area, and we are proposing. Yeah, make sure it doesn't fall. I got this. Okay. We are proposing 27 condominium units. And as you've heard, this is a pretty unique, I think we've done a lot with what we have here in terms of the floodplain, in terms of having 4 different frontages, et cetera. So just to go through the Clark Caton Hintz letter dated 7/31, just going to address which of the design waivers were called out in there and which ones we can comply with, and then provide testimony on the rationale for the ones that we cannot comply with. So just to start going through in order, this would be for those following along. I am on page, that is exactly, yes. Thanks, Donna. Sure. Yes, so we're starting at the bottom of page 12 of that letter, so conflict with architectural guidelines. So the first would be the postal numbers. We will be providing those. They are shown on this rendering here. So that one, we will comply there, no longer needed as a waiver. Second is regard to the windows, and that is the operable windows and whether they are casement, sash, flush-mounted windows. So again, testimony has been provided here. We have indicated on the plan, which was one of Donna's requests, which windows will be operable. And as of now, it's intended to be at least one in every room, and even more so, it's going to be all of those larger windows that were shown. That not so much in the storage building, but in the primary building. The other comment is about the flush-mounted windows, and this also goes down to number 7. So I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. So, as our architect testified in more technical details than I could provide, but essentially the way that the waterfront redevelopment plan is written is that the windows shall be flush with the interior wall. They shall not be installed with the outer surface. What we have here, and you can see here, just kind of the scaling and the depth that's provided here, is that they are not designed flush with the inner walls, but they are recessed slightly. So while, in my opinion, while we may not meet this section of the design guidelines to the actual T, so we are still technically requesting a waiver, I think that, the way that it's been designed, the way that they're enhanced with this three-dimensional, kind of feel to it. These are not totally flat against the building. I think it's consistent with both the underlying architectural standard and the purposes of the design guidelines. So the architectural style.
They're not flush with the interior?
So the way the way that the way that the plan is written, it says, under no circumstances shall the windows be installed flush with the outer surface of the facade. Installation should be flush with the interior wall.
Okay.
So these are not flush with the interior wall.
Okay.
But they are also not directly installed flush with the outer surface. Okay. So, it's a little bit, it has to do with different types of building construction, multifamily changes over the years, things like that, as testimony was already provided. So we are still requesting that waiver, but I think you can see from the way these renderings are shown that these are not going to be, they're not going to have like a pasted on flat appearance there. And I think that these are, historically cognizant with the Mediterranean revival style. And I apologize that I'm jumping around with these waivers, but I promise I'm going to hit them all. I just want to make sure that it makes sense here. This goes into number 8, which has to do with the windowsills. So as you saw on the examples that were shown, these and many that are behind you, and then we also showed up here, windowsills, as we typically know them, in traditional design, are not really part of this Mediterranean revival, and we don't think it's really appropriate here. There's numerous examples of the style in the city, both new and old, that do not have the windowsills, and so thus we are requesting that waiver as well. So in terms of, I believe I addressed window operability. Yes, so that will be large windows in the main residential building, not in the storage building. And we will be able to provide the compliance with, this is going back to number 6, compliance with the ratio requirements that can be provided on the plan, so we can meet that. Move on to other building openings, as you heard, we are requesting a waiver for the garage door along Cookman Avenue. Maximum of 9 feet is permitted to face the frontage, where we're proposing 20 feet. And again, this is appropriate here. This is an existing curb cut. We are eliminating the need for 2 one-way curb cuts, and rather we are providing one, slightly larger. So it's a safe access in and out. You've heard about the pedestrian features that will be here, and I think that's really the main intention of that, the curb cut, the garage door limitation, both for architectural purposes and safety purposes. And I think that what we are proposing here is appropriate. In terms of balconies, there's two waivers required for balconies. These are numbers 4 and 5 in the report. The first is that balconies shall not exceed 3 feet in depth. And this came up earlier in our architectural testimony, but yes, we are proposing balconies that are 5 feet in depth, so we are requesting a waiver. The rationale, part of the rationale is that for only 2 feet of those will actually project from the building. The other 3 feet will be recessed. That was not contemplated by the redevelopment plan, and that's why we're requesting the waiver. But as you know, the purpose of the balcony depth is to, really allow more reusable space out there, allow furniture, allow planters, allow, people to have a nice outdoor extension of their home. And I think, the way that these are laid out, they're really in proportion with the building design, and the top ones are going to have that pergola feature on all sides now, as we've agreed to tonight. So I think that's going to look really nice, and I think it's a good way to, really balance the balcony with the overall style of the building. We're also proposing to change the railings have been changed since the original plans as well to meet that more of a Mediterranean look, and we have agreed to raise the railings too. So I think that, there's a few different waivers all related to the balconies, but I think that they're all appropriate there. And in terms of the balcony as a building element, per the specifications of the waterfront redevelopment plan, it doesn't really look for individual balconies for units. So that is what we are proposing here. They're not all in one continuous element, but the placement has been integrated into the overall architectural composition, as you can see on this exhibit that's up here. That was already marked. And also, as I mentioned, the pergola feature I think is really nice here. So it's going to have visual interest, articulation, and the usable private outdoor space, all really coupling together both the requirements of the redevelopment plan, the style of this building, and a modern usable balcony space. So just to talk a little bit about the building frontage. There is a comment in here, which is that this is number 9, which is that the building is elevated above the street and that there is a facade treatment. The facade treatment is fairly blank in some areas. This has been, addressed in testimony already tonight, but again, this is elevated for flood hazard purposes, so for life safety purposes, really. And the facade treatments where there are the walls, especially in the garage area, that may be a little more blank, they have been added to this Mediterranean style feature that you heard about before, these really nice decorative grille elements. And there's also substantial fencing along the grade level in areas where there isn't a building there. And then also lots and lots of screening via landscaping on all the sides. So I think that what we have here is a situation that, given the floodplain, is pretty difficult to avoid. And so the combination of having that storage building, which really provides another type of buffer in that one corner, along with all of the really high quality design, screening, and landscaping, will very much mitigate that. I think we've also added in this set of plans versus the last submission is that a specific screen for the wheelchair lift and just different parts of the frontage that not that you want to hide the wheelchair lift necessarily, but it's not really not something that is really at grade level, not part of what was envisioned by the plan. So those, I believe, are the ones that we are requesting. The two others, just to clarify, are
pause there for 1 minute. So we've now covered all of the waivers that were listed in the CCH report, and just for clarity, there were 11. Yep, we're going to get to that.
Getting that.
Okay, so there were 11 listed. We agreed, number 1, for the postal numbers, that the waiver is no longer required. And then number 10 and number 11.
Yes.
So number 10 was, at the time, a question about whether we needed a design exception for not having a base middle top. I think it had been discussed earlier tonight that we no longer need that design exception. That's agreed?
I agree.
Yes,
Okay.
and that is due to the different new articulation added at the garage level and the new grille features there as well. So thank you.
And then number 11 had to do with requiring a design exception for not having parapets that mask any negative impact from the street level for the utilities.
Yes.
And I believe that we have addressed that design exception and no longer need it. Is that correct?
This had to do with the rooftop equipment. And so there were certain,
We're going to do the additional parapet treatment on the one side and
Because we have agreed to install.
Exactly,
on the other side.
exactly,
Right.
yep. And then also the roof treatment, yes.
So we believe that's no longer required. So
Yes.
that means it's items 2 through 9 in the CCH report. There was one other question about the doors.
Yes, is not called out in the report, but just out of an abundance of caution, we are not proposing wooden doors, and we are proposing sliding doors. I think that just in the overall scheme of this building, it's appropriate. It's the wooden doors. It doesn't really match this aesthetic really, and I think that given the balconies, especially sliding doors, are appropriate here. They won't detract from the building. They also, again, it's one of those ways that you can kind of get more usable space in a smaller apartment without having to have the clearance. So.
Okay. So I know you've talked about each waiver independently, but if you could summarize the sort of criteria for such waivers.
Absolutely. So waivers can be granted by a planning board when it's either impracticable to meet the standard. And that's really the purpose of the design guidelines, having the ability to grant the waivers. The understanding that this is a very highly prescribed document. It has probably probably close to 100, I would say, very specific guidelines that need to be met on every project. And so when we come to this board and we ask to request the waivers, we ask that, the board take into account the whole design of the project. That includes the site plan, that includes the specific conditions that affect this property in particular. And in that case, that is, we're in the flood hazard area, we have 4 frontages, things of that nature. And so when you look at everything as a whole, I think that all of these waivers really represent a better planning alternative than if we were not to provide them. And for example, with the balconies, we're adding more space on the outside without making any type of intrusion, in my opinion, on the usable area outside. So again, the visible area outside. So again, I think all of these can be granted in accordance with the requirements. I think these all are relatively minor waivers that we are requesting in the scheme of this overall project. And again, I think this has been really, really exciting to watch this project take shape over the last year, from as long as I've been involved with the feedback from the TRC, and just looking at ways that details can really make this project more really nicer looking, more functional, and work better for both the future residents, the existing residents, and the city as a whole.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I apologize. There's one more question, because I know it's going to come up. Does the redevelopment plan require retail on the ground floor in this location?
It does not require it. It is permitted. But the redevelopment plan specifically offers retail as an option along the ground floor in this portion of Cookman Avenue.
But it is not required?
It is not required.
Are there areas of the redevelopment plan where retail is required?
Yes, it is required along Ocean Avenue, a few other places, but it's specifically not required here.
Thank you.
So that was actually going to be my question. I'm looking at the plan right now. So it does say retail frontage recommended along both sides of Cookman, all the way from Grand down to Kingsley. And clearly we don't have that. Like, what are your thoughts as a planner on, given that, it doesn't exist anywhere else in this whole section of Cookman, do you think, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think that when you're looking at where to put retail, you want it to go somewhere that's going to be successful. There's, I think, 2 things there. There's that from the modern perspective, and then also when you look at how the plan was devised, a lot of it obviously takes its cues from the historic footprint and the historic precedent of Asbury Park. And this area, while it is still Cookman Avenue, this was not part of really the historic or even recent retail downtown core. And so retail stores that would be in this area, they already have a little bit of a little bit behind the curve. Retail tends to thrive when it's clustered, and even in the city, that's even in a small footprint of the city, it would still be a little bit off the beaten path here. There's foot traffic, but this is a residential area, which has how it's envisioned in the plan. In addition to that, I think that there is a little bit of an added challenge as well with the floodplain. Retail thrives on visibility. It thrives on, having inviting openings, things like that. And I think that it would be difficult to do that here because everything would have to be raised the same way.
It would not.
It would not? Not all of it? Okay. Yeah. Apologize.
I mean, it's still difficult, given the parameters, to integrate with the elevated residential part, but.
Right, it would have to be raised the exact same. So I was thinking about the project across the street where we do have the retail it's raised a little bit, isn't it?
It is raised.
Yeah, it is raised. Yeah, it is raised. So I guess that was just because of the mixed use nature of the building, but it would probably make sense in some way. And I would say that where it was provided across the street on the 3801 site at the triangle there, that triangle is kind of a special location. And you also have the extra visibility from the ocean. So, in conclusion, I think that, there's also been some challenges with leasing some of the other spaces that are on this part of Cookman Avenue. Is my understanding. And I think overall, you have a well-designed project that's as a whole, and having retail in there just for the sake of saying you have it would not add anything to this project.
One more question, because we just talked about flooding. I probably should ask Mr. Curley. Maybe you can answer. Sam, maybe you can answer. The shed. How come the shed can be there below the floodplain?
It's not habitable.
It's not.
Because it's not habitable.
Yes.
It's elevated.
So you can't have parking or residences or commercial, but you can have storage? Okay, I was just curious. Sorry.
And it is elevated slightly. It's just not as elevated, yes.
right.
We can drill your bikes.
Good to know. Good. Any questions from the board for this witness?
I have a question which I don't know that you can answer.
I'll try.
But you'll try. But I didn't know who else in the list of witnesses would best be able to answer it. I think maybe it would be you. I'm just curious as to the makeup of the actual units inside the building. It's a 27-unit building. More than half of them are 3 bedrooms, if I'm not mistaken. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Right. So that seems a little unorthodox to me, that more than half of a building would be 3-bedroom units. I'm just wondering what was behind that decision.
I
If you know.
cannot answer it specifically for this project.
Okay.
I would say in general, it's a way to, make units more family friendly. It's a way, to encourage, just have more space available. And not all 3 bedrooms may be used for as bedrooms all the time, but I can't say specifically why that was chosen for this project.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members or from our professionals? Questions from public?
Dan Shonemayo, 615 Asbury Avenue. Cookman is a commercial strip, is it not?
Hi there. Portions of Cookman are a retail strip, the part of it extending from Main Street. But as of right now, no, the entire street is not a commercial strip.
Well, it actually is. I mean, that's where the uses are permitted there. I mean, doesn't this project just exacerbate the mistake that was made with Wesley Grove, that it disconnected the retail from the western part of Cookman to the waterfront? It created a disconnect.
Dan, stop. You're asking a question or are you testifying? Is this a question?
I think I said, doesn't it? I think I framed it as a question.
Okay.
Doesn't it exacerbate, I asked, doesn't it exacerbate the mistake that was made with Wesley Grove that disconnected?
No, stop. I can't listen to him and listen to you at the same time. Sorry, Dan, sorry. Go ahead, continue.
Doesn't this project, by not having retail on the ground floor, as recommended, not as allowed, but as recommended by the waterfront plan, doesn't it exacerbate the mistake of Wesley Grove because it disconnected the retail of downtown Cookman from the retail that should be on the boardwalk? That the plan was to have a continual retail corridor going from downtown to the boardwalk. And doesn't this just now, isn't this 2 wrongs? Wesley Grove was a wrong, which we could not change, and this just exacerbates it?
I think that, first of all, I think it's a matter of opinion, whether it was a mistake or not, would be referring to the development that was previously constructed. And no, I don't think that this exacerbates anything. I think this provides a really attractive building in a permitted uses in an area that specifically is meant for this.
But you would agree that this further creates a corridor of non-retail frontage on Cookman?
I will agree that it creates non-retail frontage, but I think that I'm not judging that as necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, and you could have built higher here, couldn't you?
I believe so.
Yeah, no?
I don't know offhand. There is prescribed height limits. I'm not sure exactly what they are. I can look it up, but I don't have it. I don't know offhand.
You could have built more units though?
So density, yes, not higher, but denser, yes.
Okay, which might have created more affordability?
I can't say that. I don't know. These are market rate units.
And again, the windows you are asking for a waiver.
We are technically asking for a waiver for the windows because they are not mounted with the flush with the interior wall, but we are providing a recessed space between the window and the exterior wall, a couple inches, as was testified to, which does create, provides a little bit more texture, three-dimensionality along the facade.
So it's your opinion that the exterior does not require a waiver?
It's one standard. We are requesting an overall waiver from the standard, and I'm providing the justification for why the board can grant that waiver.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any more witnesses for us?
I do not have any more witnesses. We went through our 4 witnesses. I believe we've addressed the board's questions and the public's questions. At this point, rather than go through a lengthy closing, given the hour, I think we would rest. And we hope that the board will grant the preliminary and final major site plan approval and the design exceptions that have been requested.
Public comment?
Yep. I'm going to make a motion to open for public comment.
So moved. This is the one you gotta raise your hand for, Dave.
Okay, Dan Shanameo, 615 Asbury Avenue.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony about giving this matter with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I will never lie to the
Okay.
people of Asbury Park.
And we have a timer? You have that going?
Oh, have a timer? I thought this was untimed. Okay.
No, there's always.
That'll be the first rule I will change when I'm mayor.
3 minutes.
We'll get rid of the 3 minutes. Okay, when are we going to enforce what we wrote in the waterfront redevelopment plan? When are we going to stop these kind of developments? What I just said about, it was a mistake with Wesley Grove, and we knew it when we went to write the waterfront plan, and I implored them, if you want retail along this corridor, you have to put it in, not as a recommendation. I mean, why do we write these things? I mean, I'm on the planning board and everybody comes before us and asks for waivers. We want recessed windows, let's demand recessed windows. Why are we constantly backpedaling to the master developer? We hold all other developers downtown to the letter of the law, and these guys come here and they give us the same thing. And they tell us, oh, well, we could build more, we could build higher, we could build more units. You know why they don't build higher or more units? Because then they can't build out of wood. This is cheap. Get in, get out, make a fast buck. Do we really believe the things we wrote in that waterfront plan? A lot of you were here. You know all the hearings we had. We had all these we're going to build these great architectural buildings. We're going to laugh at the people. We're not going to build the crap that they're building in Long Branch. They're building better designs than us there. All right, they closed off their waterfront. The young people can't move here. You know, we should allow density in areas so we could get more affordability. This town is becoming unaffordable. And it's because of these projects. They're building second homes for people to come here. You see, 3 bedrooms. How are young people going to come in and buy a condo for 3 bedrooms? So we put a little Spanish tile on the roof. All of a sudden, it's Mediterranean. All of a sudden, it looks like the buildings back there. It doesn't look anything like those buildings. It looks like, you know, my grandson, he puts on a Spider-Man costume. Is he really Spider-Man? No. He's a 5-year-old in a costume. We write things down, we make plans. Do we have the gumption to enforce them? No. We keep on caving in. You don't want sliding doors? Don't allow them. You want windowsills? You want recessed windows? Enforce it. Have some courage.
Anyone else from the public?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. Before we deliberate, I had one more question just for our professionals. There were in your letters a list of checklist items that required waivers. Is there anything in there that we need to be aware of that we may want to push back on?
It's a technicality at this point. The application's been deemed complete, you've acted on it.
Okay, thank you.
Waivers are granted.
Just to follow up on what Donna said, Sam, your review of the stormwater management program submitted, does this satisfy you as in connection with the comments that Donna had in her report?
Yes, it does, yes.
Because this area, you know, it's supposed to be high and dry,
Yeah,
but 3 weeks ago, it was underwater again. And, you know, is it going to be that way September 1st? I have a real serious concern with this. And I know that Mr. Curley spent a lot of time and effort, and I'm sure his calculations are correct. And theoretically, it doesn't flood, but it sure does flood periodically. And I'm concerned, I'm very concerned about that.
I think he's talking about the completeness.
So this is a really good example of how the new regs work. They actually work. The Toll Brothers development, the water went right under the building and they flushed right back out. They didn't suffer any damage, not even to the landscape. I mean, a couple of plants that aren't very salt tolerant kind of bit the dust, but they were inundated. You saw how high it came up, but it didn't affect their driveway, didn't affect any of the units, didn't damage the boardwalk. That's literally what this is going to be. We're going to have that
As I say,
water
I have
flushing
no-
under. And it's going to keep
concern.
happening. You're right. We have to live with it.
Well, I have no concern with Mr. Curley's calculations. I certainly have a lot of respect for him. But I saw in the news and in the newspaper, I saw cars on Cookman, or I'm sorry, on Lake, water up to their, almost up to the windows.
Yeah.
So,
Even Wesley Grove, some of those buildings have flood vents on the bottom. Same thing, they didn't have damage. It works. Now we just got to make sure we don't keep increasing the height of the floodwaters.
All right, do any board members have any comments about this before we
I
proceed?
have one other comment.
Yep.
I'd certainly like to see a set of plans with the renovation or the modifications that were discussed here and that were presented to us that we never saw in the package. They were presented tonight and they were presented, but we never saw the drawings. And I'd certainly like to see them, and I'd like to see a set of plans with all of the changes that we have discussed before I vote one way or the other.
What changes are you referring to specifically?
Well, specifically, tonight, there were at least 3 drawings that were modified that we never saw. We saw them up here on the screen, and that was it. They were never presented to the board. Let's see, A3 maybe?
6, I think.
There were several, I don't remember which ones, but anyway, there were discussions concerning the railings. I'd like to see that on a set of plans. We keep having the same problems over and over again. We're facing a situation with another application concerning the location of the meters. We have an issue here with the location of the meters are going to be. I think we need to try to get this thing down on paper, at least for my edification, before I vote.
Does anybody else want to see revised plans before they vote?
Well, I had mentioned earlier, Michael, to a couple of members that it would have been good, it would have been helpful to have the new renderings for us to look at ahead of time. rather than just tonight on the screen. So, I think, I think Ed's suggestion is not an unreasonable one, that we should be able to at least look at these and, and take them home and make sure that, they reflect what we discussed tonight, yeah. I think I don't think it's an unreasonable request.
Okay. Do you guys have copies we can circulate?
So I do have a paper copy of the, just go through the exhibits here. Sorry.
We're still not going to show you what we.
There's a lot of modifications.
So we have paper copies of exhibits A1, 2, 3, actually A1 through A6, which are all the architectural changes. So the intent was to say, look, the elevations that we submitted that are largely exactly what we're asking for approval on, with the exception of, we showed A3, which is the one that showed the new garage detail windows, right? And it showed the new door, and it showed the new railings. And we agreed that all of that would be incorporated into every facade, those railings, the garage detail, the new door. The only change we made that's not reflected on this A3 was the request tonight from your planner to add more roofing along the Wesley Lake facade, which is the west elevation. That's the only one that wasn't shown here. But the intent is that these garage details that are shown on the example west and east elevations on A3 would be carried around the whole building, and that was our testimony. And we, I apologize.
Yeah, no.
So the reason that they were not fully updated ahead of time is we received the reports, and in response to the reports, we wanted to make sure we were addressing the comments that your board professionals made.
So would it be possible for the board to get updated renderings, and then, then we can deliberate at the next meeting?
So
It's your call.
Yeah, so here's my thought. I'll say I would recommend we either do this. If people really think that looking at these renderings will affect their vote, I think we should go through our conditions, talk about it, and then we can vote 2 weeks from now. I think that's one solution. The other is if what we're going to get from the applicant is A3, and we're all going to look at that and come back and vote, we can look at A3 now. I, for one, am ready to vote tonight. If people want to see certain things, we should wait.
I'm also ready to vote tonight. And personally, I'm very happy with what the applicant has proposed. That the changes from what we saw originally is dramatic. I like the building, I like what they've done. I mean, that's me personally.
Yeah, so I'm going to give my personal thoughts as well, which is the original version of this building that came to the TRC, I was not a fan at all. And, people, we as planning board complain, people in the public complain. We want to see more of a certain style of building. We want to see ornamentation. We want to see, this, that, and the other. And I feel like every turn, this building has just gotten better, and this is building, I really like the architecture, I really like the Mediterranean revival style. Does it look exactly like a building from 100 years ago? No, but buildings from 100 years ago didn't need parking, they didn't need to worry about floodplains. So I think we are getting a very nice building. I will say coming into tonight, I had some real concerns about the base, about the way the entry stair fit in, and you guys really just, I think, went through those reports and checked off everything and really made a fantastic building that I think is going to positively contribute to our community. I also, I think about this actually a lot when I walk down Cookman. We do have this great downtown retail court, and there is not a lot of retail in Cookman. And, when we approved this last project at the Triangle and the Cove and 400 Lake, Cookman doesn't look how I thought Cookman would look right now, or how it's going to look in 10 years. I thought it would be more commercial, but I think it's turned into this really nice residential kind of transition from the waterfront to downtown. It's like medium density residential. It's nicely landscaped. It's a really pleasant place to walk through. And even though it's maybe not exactly what was contemplated by the waterfront redevelopment plan, I think it's been very nicely executed. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this. Do we want to vote tonight, or do we want to circulate these and then move on?
Is this a complete set of
That's
all
the
the new
6.
material?
It's A1 through A6. The only thing I don't have printed there was the turning exhibit that was up on the screen.
What was that?
The turning exhibit that showed the interior garage movements, so nothing to do with the architecture. And Bob has that, like, mark.
So why don't we circulate those? And in the meantime, whether or not we vote tonight, I do want to get our list of conditions down while they're fresh in everybody's head. So I'm going to go through my list, and then Jack, maybe we can do your list, and Donna, your list. We need to submit a stormwater management operation manual. We want to see the terracotta style roof extended on both sides of the roof line along Wesley Lake Drive with a pergola in the middle to be approved by the board planner. We're going to provide additional screening for rooftop mechanicals along Wesley Lake Drive. We're going to add screening of ground floor mechanicals with breeze block, or if not, to be coordinated with the board planner. All railings and garage openings throughout the building will match the renderings in A3 and A6. Balcony railings will increase to 42 inches. We're going to color match vents to the color of the facade. Pedestrian warning system, we'll have a pedestrian warning system where the driveway crosses the sidewalk. Board planner and board engineer need to approve the lighting plan. The planting recommendations are to be coordinated with the board planner. And the bench style is to be in the Mediterranean revival style to be coordinated with the board planner.
There has to be a staging construction plan submitted in the pre-construction meeting with James, which is pretty much standard.
Yep.
I think it's already in there that the stairwell lighting sensors have been testified that they're already in. Obviously, the utility meters to be screened, we talked about that. Lighting plan has to be reviewed by CCH and Avakian, because that we didn't see yet, make sure that's complied with. Landscaping, use of the landscaping to supplement the brick screening of the utility meters, which will obviously be something to be developed. The usual waterfront WRA conditions would be DEP approval, and whatever else I have 6 or 7 that are in every resolution. Yeah, I think that's, anything else, Tom?
Frosted glass in the garage door.
Yeah, frosted glass in the garage door, and they already said that they're going to have it in the utility building doors, windows as well.
The shed was going to be opaque, right? Not frosted? Frosted? Frosted.
That's what I had. And,
Accessible ramp striping.
yeah, the striping in the handicap accessible area within the garage has to be shown on the plan. As well. And there were some outstanding conditions in the Avakian report that the applicants said they were comply with. I'll develop those with Sam as we do the resolution.
The height of the screening on the
5
rooftop.
feet. 5 feet. Yes, I have that in there as well.
Yeah. This, we haven't seen. Okay. Any other conditions? Okay, and since people have reviewed these, I mean, it's kind of like a shotgun review. Are people comfortable voting?
Yeah, let's make sure.
I don't want to force a vote. People aren't comfortable.
You don't want them to turn down the application because you're
Yeah.
not comfortable voting.
If we're voting tonight, then I would, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you may get at least one person here who doesn't want to vote tonight, but I would vote tonight if it's your call.
Am I getting nods?
You're right.
I'm right, I just think we should have seen this before we voted
Yeah.
here tonight.
Yeah, that's my only, yeah, that's my only.
Well, it could be, I'm mixed.
Yeah.
If you got the reports on July 31st and August 10th, why couldn't this A1 through 6 been done quicker so we could have seen it?
So we actually can't submit anything within that 10-day window prior to the
I can't hear you.
We can't submit anything in that 10-day window prior to the meeting. So at that point, we bring
It's
them
not
with
on
us.
file in the office 10 days before. They missed the deadline for that, so it can't be on file within 10 days.
Yeah.
It doesn't meet the criteria, but they can bring stuff to the meeting as an exhibit. That's why, so it's either the 10-day or at the meeting.
Oh, so you could have, but we wouldn't let you.
Well, the law is, the
MLU.
notice says that the application and supporting documents are on file in the planning department and
10
may
days
be
before, okay.
reviewed.
So
10
the
days.
public can review. Okay.
And because they brought them tonight, they don't have to do that thing where they say, oh, we're gonna add banding to the base and change the windows, we'll bring it back next time.
No, I understand. Okay. I was just curious. I didn't know 10-day thing.
Okay, that being said, does anyone want to make a motion to approve or deny this application?
I move to approve the application.
I will second that.
With the conditions.
With the conditions we just discussed. That's your motion with the conditions?
With the conditions.
Okay. Okay. Roll call.
James Bonanno,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clayton,
Yes.
Jim Henry,
Abstain.
Mayor Moore,
Yes.
Bob Zuckerman,
Yes.
Kathy McLaughlin,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mike Goonan.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time this evening. We do appreciate it. We understand your concerns. We will keep moving forward. Thank you so much.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All in
Great.
favor?
Aye.
Yeah. None opposed?
None.